Hello and welcome to the Fictocast. I am Mikenificent Podgor.
I'm Randall Malus, and I have no idea what we're doing today.
I'm Jeffry Podgor, Mike's brother.
And I'm Trevor Thomson.
And today we are going to be talking about comic book crossovers and events.
I know nothing about any of that.
You know enough.
I really don't. I did zero research for this.
You were talking some comics before we turned on this thing.
Yeah.
No, I wasn't.
No, you weren't.
That's a lie.
Okay.
We'll be okay. We'll be okay.
Alright.
Alright, so, so I'll get the ball rolling, and I want to talk about Marvel versus DC.
No, wait, we're talking about comic book crossovers.
Yeah.
This is a crossover.
Well, no, but I mean, like...
You need to introduce what we're talking about.
The topic is.
I did. I said it.
No.
No, not
Not
really.
enough.
Okay, so we're going to be talking about comic book crossovers today, which, for our purposes, is any storyline exceeding like 4 issues.
And this was the discussion you came up with, by the way.
I know, and encompassing more than one title, and preferably more than one character, or more than one universe of characters, I should say. Not like more than one grouping of characters. So like,
More than like property.
so like Death and the Family actually kind of would because it has Superman in it.
Yeah, that's
But
true.
Lonely Place of Dying would not, because it's only Batman.
That's true.
Okay, but yeah, so...
Or no, Lonely Place of Dying, doesn't it have a Teen Titans issue in it, though? With Nightwing?
Oh, it might, yeah.
Sorry about that.
That's fine.
Yeah. So, basically, any event...
Yeah, any event.
more than 4 issues, that's technically a crossover event.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright.
Yeah,
I think I understand.
Yeah, I'm going to get the ball rolling with Marvel versus DC Comics, or DC versus Marvel, which skates by. I mean, it has just so many characters in it. But it skates by because of the Amalgam universe and 12 issues of that in the initial volley of them. And then, like, they did revisit it once. Yeah. They're the dog chewing on things.
This could be edited out.
Yeah.
The microphone
I'm
is...
familiar with the Venom and Superman part of that.
The which part?
The Venom and Superman part of that.
Oh yeah, that was in the All Access, I think. That was a follow up to it.
Yeah, there was. That's what we should talk about. What that follow up was, right? And then they created a character that was.
Yeah. Okay. So DC vs. Marvel Comics was in 1996, I believe, and it was a joint effort between Marvel Comics and DC to pit their characters against each other with the false stakes that one universe would be destroyed. Obviously, neither universe was destroyed. But how it worked was they had, I think, 11 fights, and 5 were voted on, and it was... People have argued that it was heavily skewed in favor of Marvel, because Marvel had the Hulk, Captain America, Storm, Wolverine, and Spider-Man, and like just Wolverine and Spider-Man there, that kind of... Like, no one's going to vote against Wolverine or Spider-Man.
Yeah, that's true. Especially in favor of, what, Lobo and Superboy?
Yeah.
Yeah, no one is going to vote for Superboy, especially.
Like, I think...
90s Superboy.
Oh, yeah, not 90s Superboy. Well, yeah, early 90s Superboy. By the end of the 90s, he was getting better.
Oh, that's true.
Like, they did revamp that character, but... Like, initially, 90s Superboy was terrible.
Douche Superboy.
Who wrote this, by the way?
Peter David?
Peter David.
Yeah. Which was a good choice, because he had...
But he was a Marvel guy.
Well, he also wrote a long run of Aquaman.
Okay.
So
Yeah, but he was mostly a Marvel guy.
Well, he had experience with
And
both universes.
Supergirl at some point.
Trevor?
And Supergirl at some point.
Yeah, you already did. You're right. You
Yeah.
did do Supergirl, yeah. You're right about that.
Yeah, I think people regard that run pretty well.
Yeah. Right about that.
I like how DC versus Marvel, as you said, sort of dovetailed into the creation of the Amalgam universe.
Yeah, I think that was part of the plan. Anyway, like the entire 4 issues is just an excuse for these heroes to get together and fight each other. And there's cameos from a bunch of other heroes, like here's Riddler and Daredevil, and then like Green Goblin's here. But at this time, I think Green Goblin was dead, and the new one hadn't shown up yet.
Or no, that looks like the third Green Goblin, actually.
I don't think he was around yet.
Really?
I don't know. I don't remember.
Because the third Green Goblin, correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't he around for the mid-90s Clone Saga?
No, he showed up at the end of it.
Okay.
I believe he was a good guy too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He began as a good guy, but recently they made him evil.
Yeah, because Harry was
Yeah.
around in the Clone Saga.
No.
No, I mean the
No.
second Clone Saga.
Oh.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
one that. Yeah, not the 70s one. The one
The
that spanned like 4 years.
94, 95.
Yeah.
Well, Harry died right before the...
No, Harry died before Maximum Carnage.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
There it is. Yeah, right around that.
They talked about it at the start.
Yeah, but we'll get to that later. Marvel vs. DC. Like, in between issues 3 and 4, they did this thing where they merged the two universes to create an amalgamation of the universes. So you had characters like Spider-Boy, which is Superboy and Spider-Man, and Darkclaw, which was Wolverine and Batman for some reason.
I mean, it was an interesting...
I think people like Darkclaw.
Yeah.
A lot.
Like, my favorite was Spider-Boy.
It was an interesting experiment.
Yeah. One that they, they did revisit it the year after with 12 more issues. They had another Darkclaw, another Spider-Boy, another Super Soldier, which was Captain America and Superman. What was that? Is it an air raid?
I think it was...
That was not me.
No, it was
Okay.
coming from that.
Whatever.
Your phone.
Okay, Trevor's still here. Okay. Yeah, we have Trevor here on video chat. So there's going to be some technical issues during this, most likely.
Well, this is a Fictosphere thing. So
Yeah. We can't do anything right the first time. Or the second time. Or
we
the
can't do
third
anything
time.
without technical issues.
Yeah.
So,
Maximum technical issues.
Yes.
Such is life.
yep. So this is kind of like our own crossover.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, well, and after... Yeah, the Axis character. The Axis character was a... Marvel and DC both owned him.
Yeah, that was it. Access. That's what I was thinking.
And he was just some weird-looking guy who could create portals between the universes, which led to two miniseries. One was...
What was interesting about Access, though, is that Access showed up in both the DC and Marvel canon stories afterwards,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So it really confirmed that this was something that was happening in these heroes' universes. Not something they forgot about either, but something that...
Now they have forgotten about it. But
Well, yeah. But at the
And
time...
at the time, he was exciting because he was like, "Oh, there's Axis hanging around Green Lantern
Yeah.
or whatever, doing his thing."
Someone did an article on Access recently, talking about how it really, it suggested that it really happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and then
This was an Elseworlds kind of thing. For the universes.
Yeah, and then there were two other miniseries with Limited Access and I think All Access.
Mm-hmm.
And then Marvel and DC didn't like each other anymore and they stopped.
Yeah. They kind of went back to being rivals.
And like unfriendly rivals at that.
Yeah.
Well, it seems like the whole thing was kind of rigged in Marvel's favor anyway.
Yeah, that's what we were saying.
Yeah, the voting aspect, especially.
Like Superman versus Hulk, I think Superman had a clear edge there. People like the Hulk, but he's Superman. You're not going to vote against Superman.
Yeah.
Captain America and Batman. I mean, Well, yeah, that one, like, DC had 2 ringers in there. Really, the only thing that was kind of a toss-up was Wonder Woman versus Storm. Because Wonder Woman, she's had a resurgence of popularity in recent years, but at the time, she was just kind of there. She was going up against Storm, who was an X-Man, but not like one of the more popular X-Men. Like, she was a mainstay of the title, and like versions of the team, but like she was still not on like Wolverine level.
No. And I think part of the problem, too, with Storm versus Wonder Woman especially, and this is just pure speculation on my part, is right around that time, the X-Men cartoon show was still sort of out there.
Yeah.
It was still being seen by people.
Yeah, I think that the Justice League cartoon had started up by then. I think Wonder Woman may have had more of a chance.
Right. So you had this whole younger generation who possibly partook in the polls here, and they went with the characters not only that they liked, but also the characters that they knew.
Yeah.
This was the Wizard era and stuff like that. It was, I could see why it was just very rigged in Marvel's favor.
And Wizard, historically, I don't know if this is necessarily true, but the perception
was that
it was very Marvel centric.
Yeah, Marvel leaning, absolutely.
No, they liked Batman a lot.
They did like Batman a lot. That's true.
Like they liked whatever was edgy at the time. So like Batman and Lobo, they loved.
They also loved a lot of the independent, like Valiant characters.
Or Image.
Yeah, Image as well. They loved basically anything that Rob Liefeld was doing. Wizard was like jumping right on top of it.
They jumped on top of it until it was like a few years out of date, and then they like made fun of it.
Yeah.
Like they were very fair weather.
They were.
Yeah.
They were.
Yeah, the other fights in Marvel versus DC, like since the voting decided who was gonna win, which I guess Marvel won, technically. Wait, did Marvel? Yeah, Marvel won.
Marvel won the most battles, I think.
Yeah. So, like the other fights, like Robin beat Jubilee, Flash beat Quicksilver, Thor beat Captain
y'all were
Marvel.
talking about like how the X-Men cartoon was popular at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they put Wonder Woman against Storm, and if you think about it, Wonder Woman wasn't in a cartoon until the Justice League series.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Early 2000.
Yeah, I think
you're absolutely right. You weren't getting exposed to Wonder Woman unless you were reading DC Comics.
I think older fans were more prone to voting for Wonder Woman because of the Linda Carter show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, which was by that time a little under 20 years old.
Yeah. Okay. So one of the reasons I chose Marvel versus DC is because I need to practice saying Marvel for one thing. And another thing is that like it came out like shortly after I started getting into like superhero comics, so it was kind of this like crash course in who everyone was.
They did a Marvel versus DC thing in the 2000s, right? Marvel or DC versus Marvel or something.
They did an Avengers
versus
JLA Avengers.
Yeah, JLA Avengers.
Yeah,
which was another Kurt Busiek.
That's the one that I really like. Yeah, I hate to say it, but I like that more than this one.
Oh, it's so much better than this.
Yeah.
Like I like this, but partly it's just nostalgia.
Yeah.
And it's also like a time capsule of 1996 or whenever this came out.
Well, there was either late 70s, early 80s. I want to say there was a Teen Titans versus X-Men.
Oh yeah, Marvel
right,
and DC used to do a bunch of crossovers. Like you can.
There was a Superman and Spider-Man. Superman kicked it off.
There's 2 of those. There's a Superman Hulk.
Yeah.
No,
Batman Hulk.
Oh, there's also a Superman Hulk too.
Okay.
That was later.
Yeah.
Though. Batman, Captain America, Batman, Punisher. There are a few of those.
Yeah.
But yeah, this came after years of other Marvel DC crossovers that have, again, after JLA Avengers, they have fallen by the wayside.
No, I think that one's unique because that one was where it was the longest they were sort of entangled together.
And it was supposed to be real.
You know?
Yeah.
Like all the other ones, like the continuity wasn't as solid as it was in 1996.
Yeah, it was questionable as to where it actually fell.
Yeah.
But this was, and plus this was also 2 whole universes.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't just Superman and Spider-Man.
Yeah.
It was Superman, Captain America, Spider-Man, Batman, everybody.
Yeah, it was everybody. Like there's cameos from so many people in here.
Yeah. Like you mentioned, I mean, pretty much all the X-Men are in it, even though only a few of them actually get the spotlight. Yeah, just a ton of characters.
Yeah, I'm surprised Howard the Duck didn't show up at all in here.
That's because no one likes Howard the Duck.
I like Howard the Duck. He had an amalgam in the second part. In the second branch of amalgams.
What was he?
He was Lobo the Duck. He got crossed over with Lobo.
Oh, boy. Wow.
It was a weird comic.
Yeah. Alright, so who wants to go next?
I'm going to pass things over to you, Randy.
Oh, son of a bitch.
We'll go in a circle. Or do you want to go, Jeff? Do you want some time?
I'll go.
Okay.
No, I'll go.
We'll do you after Randy, then Trevor.
Okay. All right.
So, when I think of recent crossovers that have been sort of a big deal, I think of Dark Knight's Metal, which was part of this DC Rebirth thing that they're doing currently. Yeah. It's kind of a huge mess, but the cool thing about Dark Knight's Metal is that it took a look at the multiverse that exists within the DC universe from a perspective of basically telling the origin of the DC universe.
Yeah.
So, for those who don't know, the DC universe has 52 different multiverses, 52 different parallel universes. And what Dark Knight's Metal does is it introduces this idea of 52 negative universes. Yeah. These universes that are dead.
A dark multiverse.
Yeah. A dark, decaying, dying multiverse.
Yeah.
-1, -2, -3, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And it was kicked off by introducing 7 Batmen from these decaying universes. And they were sort of Batmen who were combined with different characters. There was one, I don't remember. I think his name was Red Death.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He was combined with the Flash.
Yeah.
And it was, I want to say it was 12 parts, is that correct? 10, 12?
It was, but that's, the ones that Scott Snyder wrote, it was about 12 parts.
Okay, yeah. And it involved a lot of the lore of the DC universe. Nth Metal, which pulled in Hawkman and Hawkgirl. It was thought that one of the only weapons that could actually fight these negative universe Batmen and all of the creatures they brought over with them was Plastic Man.
Yeah.
But in the New 52, he had not yet been born, so he was still sort of stuck in his egg form. And so there was some tension there where they're trying to get Plastic Man to come out, and he's just not doing it because they can't get him to activate his powers. And it was interesting for the DC cosmology overall. And it introduced a really cool sort of dark Batman character in the Batman Who Laughs. This Batman Joker
hybrid, basically.
Yeah.
Alright, now do you think the Batman Who Laughs is better or worse than our own Matsuhiro's version?
Bat Joke?
Yes.
Well, I think they're different. For a number of reasons. Bat Joke is the Joker who has found his inner Batman. Whereas the Batman Who Laughs is a Jokerized Bruce Wayne.
Alright, yeah.
From a dark universe who basically destroyed his world.
Yeah, I was wondering where he was from.
Yeah, he's from... I I don't recall what negative number his universe is from. They made a lot of these dark universes up, except for the one that the Batman Flash hybrid comes from. There are a lot of sly references to that being the Frank Miller All-Star Batman and Robin Batman. You know, the goddamn Batman.
Yeah.
I think they've talked about putting him on the Red Death on the Flash show, too.
Oh, the Crisis on Infinite Earths?
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
Like, he's supposed to show up at some point.
That would be really cool.
Yeah, that's going to be a weird crossover to watch.
Really cool.
We'll talk about that later, though.
It's hard to remember all the numbers, but I mean, they were all just worlds that were part of the Dark Multiverse. They were sort of doomed, you know what I mean? They were, you know, the Batman... What's interesting about Dark Knight Metal is it's a DC-wide event, but it's a Batman primary event. You know what I mean? So
yeah, it's very odd.
It's a weird hybrid of it's not quite... Everyone isn't treated equally in it exactly.
It's called Dark Knight's Metal.
Yeah.
For God's sake.
Well, I mean, it's definitely a Batman-centric event.
Yeah, it's a Batman-centric event.
However,
yeah.
The whole point of the different Batmen was that they were here to sort of act as heralds, to open the gateway so other hybrid creatures could come through.
Yeah.
Like, I think in one of the wide 2-page spreads in one of the later issues, when they got a glimpse of all these creatures coming through the gateway, one of them was like Wonder Woman with half a spider body, and there was like a Superman Metallo hybrid, basically cyborg Superman.
Was Ambush Bug involved?
No.
Oh.
No one likes Ambush Bug.
What was kind of cool about it too is
I like Ambush
just
Bug.
to understand the idea of where it came from. First of all, Scott Snyder's run with Greg Capullo, which is a really good modern Batman run for people that kind of like us, are darker, edgier kind of Batman. But the whole run builds up to Metal, and it really Scott Snyder loved this idea, and this is really the core of where Metal comes from. This idea that for all of his career, Batman, he always likes pulling out the rug from. He likes the idea of pulling out the rug from under Batman. You know, the Court of Owls Batman thinks that he controls Gotham, but what if someone else does? Mm-hmm. And he doesn't realize it the whole time.
Yeah.
And Metal is the same thing. The idea of Metal is, what if Batman's been fooling himself this whole time? What if he's been working, he doesn't know it, but he's an unwitting pawn in helping, bring Barbados in this dark multiverse to take over our Earth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's sort of like the genesis of it all. You know what I mean?
It's very or at least contrary to the way Grant Morrison portrayed Batman, where Batman really is on top of everything.
Yeah.
He's the one who's playing like 8D chess.
Yeah.
Just when you think you have Batman in a corner, you've already lost.
Yeah.
Scott Snyder is very much the opposite there.
Yeah.
And so that's sort of cool too. And in doing so, again, he tells the history of the DC universe as a universe, as a multiverse, with ideas like the Forge, and the dragon that is at the center of the universe, the Source, things like that.
Yeah.
All come into play. These cosmological entities and ideas that really Marvel has never had a problem with, but DC, things have gotten a bit murky there from time to time. And with this, it really sort of hammers out that cosmology a bit more.
Well, I mean, yeah.
A bit. I mean...
Until the next event comes along and changes it. You know what I mean? Already you have... how do you square something like Metal with what Jeff Johns is doing in Doomsday Clock?
Yeah, DC likes
Dr.
changing...
Manhattan.
Yeah.
DC likes changing their cosmology a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ever since the Crisis on Infinite Earths, they've just kind of... They can't find something that works for them.
Yeah, that's true.
Or, they just find a new thing that works for them every 10 years. That's
Pretty
really
much.
what it is.
They have a lot of things that work for them.
Until they don't.
Yeah. Whereas Marvel's like Living Tribunal, Beyonder, Galactus, whoever else, Mephisto.
And Marvel also has a benefit of, like, DC is a bunch of different universes that came together, whereas Marvel has always just been one thing.
That's true. That's
Yeah,
true.
pretty much.
Yeah.
Like, even at the beginning, without, like, the Fawcett characters and Charlton?
Charlton.
Carl, okay, whatever. What you said. Those characters, they, like, each character they made was supposed to be, like, a standalone thing. Like, Superman and Batman were never supposed to actually meet up.
Yeah.
And then they did.
Yeah.
And that was when their trouble started.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, I mean, really, I think a lot of credit should be given to Stan Lee and Jack Kirby for squaring the Silver Age Marvel Universe with the Golden Age Marvel Universe.
Yeah.
And really creating a more unified vision of what their comic book properties should be
Yeah.
in a macro sense.
Yeah.
And that's probably why Marvel has never technically needed a Crisis on Infinite Earths type
Right.
of event.
Right.
Like, they've done it once or twice, but...
But it's never really, like,
Yeah, it's not like the Crisis where it erased everything. It just kind of shifted things
restart, try to make everything fit together, and,
Yeah.
and then have to restart everything again and again and again, like DC. No, don't get me wrong, Marvel has its fair share of
They have
like,
other
timeline
issues.
problems.
I think they actually have a character or something who's like their whole thing is the timeline. Like, they know the timeline is shifting and they have to fix it or something. I think they have someone like that.
See, they even thought of that.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm not 100% sure on that, but it's something that I feel like they would have.
The thing that bugs me about Marvel, and I mean, I don't mean to hate on Marvel, and certainly don't take that from this comment.
I'm writing up the article now. Randall Malus hates Marvel.
Good. Like, no one will read it. Or everyone will read it, because apparently everyone reads your article.
Yeah, whenever Jeff publishes something in the Fictospherians, he gets hundreds of hits.
Yeah. Hey. Because Jeff creates the hits. He brings the hits. It's sort of the same reason why I don't like The Simpsons currently, and haven't for the last 20 years. It's this time jump thing that they do. You know? Like, everything has happened within the last decade. And technically DC does that as well. Like, Batman is always around 33 or 35.
Yeah, 35. Definitely.
Yeah. Like, no one ever really seems to get older. It's just events in the world move up to match with them.
Yeah.
But, like, when you have characters like the Punisher, it's a good thing that America gets into wars a lot.
I know.
Because otherwise, characters like the Punisher, like, if we didn't have a war in the last 20 years, what would you do with the Punisher?
Yeah.
Like, Vietnam, or Desert Storm would have been the last one that he would have been able to be in.
And he'd be pushing... I know the Marvel Max version. I think he did age how he was supposed to.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, like, the main Marvel Universe, he keeps on just... Like, whichever war was...
Or no,
They just find a war.
Yeah, we were talking about it. Actually, Marvel created a war. Well, they used a war that they mentioned, and they made it. They made it so that I told you it was the Sin Kong War. They made it so that Frank Castle wasn't in Vietnam; he was in the Sin Kong War, which was Marvel. It was like mentioned in Avengers, an early issue of Avengers, and was basically a reference to Vietnam without using Vietnam.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
I like how...
Even so, he's not in that war anymore.
yeah.
I like how Marvel both published a comic where, like, Captain America punched Hitler on the cover before the United States were in World War II, but they're also unwilling to, like, just talk about the Vietnam War. But then they are.
Actually, Randy, I think, though, they have changed it. I think Punisher wasn't in, like, Desert Storm or something. I think they actually have made it Sin Kong again.
Okay.
The Sin Kong thing is kind of like, was actually kind of a recent revelation that was in something Marvel, or history. They did a history of the Marvel Universe recently.
Okay.
And it's really sort of they're making some changes to Marvel's history in it.
Okay.
So yeah, it'll be that anyone that was involved in Vietnam were now in the Sing Kong War, which was mentioned in some early issue of Avengers.
Now, see, that's a good way to solve that problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, make it something that you made up, so you keep changing the time of it.
Yeah, exactly. But I know that for a time, they
just kept
they kept just moving
Desert Storm, Angola, right?
They did that with Reed Richards and Ben Grimm too.
Yeah.
But I think at some point they're just like, you know what? They're no longer veterans. They weren't in the war anymore.
Honestly,
we just give up on
who
these.
can really believe Reed Richards was a veteran, though?
At this point, no one. But like in the '60s, I would believe they fought in World War II because
yeah,
that was just a thing you did.
yeah.
All right.
So that's where I'm going to stop blathering about something I'm ill prepared to talk about.
You talked well. You spoke well. All right, so Jeff, we're going to go over Trevor.
Oh.
Well, I was trying to trick Jeff.
Oh, okay.
I was trying to make Jeff have hope that he was going to be next, and then give it to Trevor instead.
Yeah, well, that didn't work.
I know. Next time, I'll get you next time, Gadget. All right, Trevor, what's your first choice? Not your top choice, but your first choice.
My first mention, Mike, you kind of brought it up already. The second Clone Saga, which I kind of had to refresh myself and realize that it was the second Clone Saga, because there's three of them. There's the first two, which are in the main continuity, and then there's the Ultimate version.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So the one I was thinking of was the one which basically was the rise of Ben Reilly, Scarlet Spider.
Yeah, all that mess.
Yeah, all that mess. And see, that's the funny thing. That's the funny thing is that's actually, if you really look into it, it's a very convoluted storyline. But I read the synopsis, I guess, and it's my kind of weird.
Oh yeah, it was super weird, but it was fun weird. Like it was that point where Marvel had, like, the Green Goblin was dead, Dr. Octopus was also dead, Kraven was dead.
Yeah.
Like most of the main villains were dead, because they had to reinvent a lot of them.
Yeah, they really did, and I like that Jackal was brought back. Jackal is really an underappreciated Spider-Man villain.
He's really weird too.
He is
and he also has like level of skeeviness, because I think part of the reason he was trying to clone people was so he could clone Gwen Stacy because he was in love with her.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was that whole thing.
Yeah,
that was the first saga too.
Yeah, like that was always a thing that Miles Warren wanted to do, was bang Gwen Stacy.
Yeah.
So the Clone Saga, the second Clone Saga, is basically Miles Warren. Like all the Spider-Man stuff, that was secondary. It was Miles Warren wanting to bang one of his students.
Yeah, it just so happened.
Well, there was also that back and forth with whether or not Peter was the original Spider-Man.
Oh yeah, I did like that.
Oh yeah.
Oh, going back to Marvel versus DC for a second. We were talking about how they had updated versions of all the characters, where like Superman had a mullet and everything. Like the Spider-Man in here is supposedly Ben Reilly, but like they make a big thing about him not having the Ben Reilly design and going by Peter Parker, because they wanted to have their cake with this and eat it too.
Mm.
And like,
well, basically, go ahead.
Like you were saying, there was that back and forth where no one was sure who was a real guy and who was a clone.
To me, that's the most remarkable thing about the second Clone Saga is that, well, we know, first of all, there was a mystery maintained right in the comics where you didn't know who the real one, but from the editorial perspective, the goal was to replace Peter Parker with Riley.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's like shocking. You know, Death of Superman and Nightfall, which I know maybe we'll talk at some point about, those almost certainly didn't intend to make really long-term changes to Superman or Batman.
No, but Marvel always had this
Yeah.
angry thing about Spider-Man being married.
Yeah.
Like, when he got married in the 80s, they were like, alright, good publicity stunt. And then as time went on, a lot of the editors and writers were like, we don't like this. We want Spider-Man to be single.
Yeah, what do we do with this? That's pretty much what they were thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're like, oh, for Clone Saga, they're like, instead of, just having, another guy become Spider-Man, let's have a whole, 4-year thing where we don't know if Spider-Man is real Spider-Man or not.
But for most of it, it was only the last quarter of the second Clone Saga where finally Marvel's like, no, we're not going to replace Peter Parker. You know what I mean?
No, they did still.
No. They changed their mind, or editorial-wise, they changed.
For a while, Ben Reilly was only Spider-Man.
No, but they changed. They changed their mind that he was, but the goal at that point wasn't to sideline Peter forever. They averted that before the end.
Yeah, know what they did? Do you remember what they did? Norman Osborn showed up.
Yeah, he showed up.
Yeah, he came up and said that he switched the blood test.
Yeah,
that,
that's it.
Peter had.
Yep.
Yeah, and he said, "Oh yeah, it's true that Peter's really the actual Spider-Man."
Yeah, the moment.
Oh yeah, and they brought back Aunt May.
Yeah.
Like that. They killed Aunt May, but it was a fake Aunt May.
Yeah.
But then they brought her back.
But no, I mean Trevor is making an important point. There is if they really wanted Riley to take over, they wouldn't have had the blood test switch at the end. Marvel's realized at the end that they could not say that Peter Parker was not the real, was not the one true Spider-Man.
I mean, that may have been the intention going in.
Well, yeah.
But by the end,
at the end,
they realized that this is not going to.
Yeah, there was an outcry against it.
Yeah.
No one liked. I think people liked Ben Reilly as a character, but they didn't like him as the only Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So they started off thinking of replacing Peter Parker with Ben Reilly, and then they ended up with Ben Reilly is John Paul Valley. That's basically what that's.
Ben Reilly is John Paul Valley. Oh, and Norman Osborn is back.
Yeah.
Norman Osborn is here to reset the status quo.
Yep.
Yeah, with the whole Spider-Man marriage, they're always in this weird tug of war between letting him grow as a person and just making it the status quo again.
Yeah.
Well, it's weird because I know that a lot of writers have complained about the marriage and did complain about the marriage, but as soon as one more day happened,
I think
brand new day or whatever.
No one liked that either.
No one liked that, and the stories that the writers were writing about Spider-Man, they could have easily have written with Spider-Man married.
Yeah.
Nothing from the Spider-Man end of things really changed. The personal
he was just
Peter
able to
Parker
bang other
stuff,
people.
Right, that was the only thing that they wanted to do. They just wanted...
Yeah, they wanted Peter Parker to not be in a relationship anymore.
Right, that's it.
And instead of having him get a divorce or have a trial separation, which they did for a while.
Yeah.
For a while, he and Mary Jane were split up. I think it was a few years after the Clone Saga, after Peter Parker came back.
Wasn't there a thing where Peter's baby was
switched? That was at the end of the Clone Saga.
Yeah.
Norman Osborn stole the baby to use in a magic ritual to get power or something.
Yeah.
That was how the Clone Saga ended.
Crazy stuff.
Yeah.
But it's right up my alley. So.
Oh, yeah.
It's I think it's the longest crossover event. It feels like in comics history or something? It's got to be.
It's really long, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean...
It's several
especially
years.
if you combine it with the first one. I mean, because I thought it was one whole thing, but there's two of them.
Yeah, the Ultimate Universe we can kind of discount because that's a different continuity. But yeah, the first one in the 70s, that was...
No, you bring up a good point, too. You really can't go into the second one without
the first.
Yeah, without acknowledging the first one. So this is a crossover event that's been going on since the 70s.
For the longest time, the original one was reprinted in a trade called Clone Genesis.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now it's called the original Clone Saga, I believe.
Yeah, you're right.
And I think there was even I think there was a fourth Clone Saga a few years ago, too. I know, Ben Reilly came back. I know that much.
Why?
In the main continuity?
Yeah.
Riley's back, really?
Yeah.
How? And why?
He was a clone.
A clone of Ben Reilly?
Yeah, but he had all the original's memories.
But why?
And then he made more clones.
But why?
I don't know. I don't
Well, I want to
remember.
bring up something though. I remember I think this was in the Clone Saga, or no, I wonder if this might have been after Clone Saga, but Miles Warren dies at some point. You don't even know if it's the real Miles Warren, right? Or you don't know if it's a clone of Miles Warren. Like you even get lost.
Yeah,
With Jackal's character all through his history, you don't know if you're seeing the original Miles Warren or not.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's true.
like
I believe.
the whole Clone Saga thing is a weird. Like with all the clones running around, there's just like a bunch of misdirection and everything, and
Yeah.
I mean, it is pretty convoluted, like I said.
yeah.
It's the best sort of convoluted.
And I know, that happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, that happened like right when I was getting into comics too. So like when I started reading superhero comics, like before I started reading superhero comics, I read like the Disney and Sonic comics, and then I got into superhero comics, and like all the issues were about the Clone Saga, and it was like, oh, I don't want to jump into this. I don't know how it started.
See, that's about when I started to get out of Marvel superhero comics.
That was when I started getting out of it too.
Yeah, and it was really just because I was right at that age, 10, 11, 12, and it was like, this is a lot to keep track of.
Yeah.
A lot.
Well,
Like,
and look at the art too. The artists, I felt the art just wasn't as good as it was early on.
Yeah.
It started looking real weird and stylized.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
Marvel
a really good point.
got away from the house style around that point.
Yeah.
Like they've kind of reverted back to something that's palatable, but every so often you'll get a title where the art's just atrocious.
It was 90s extreme, just too much of it.
Yeah.
Definitely that Rob Liefeld.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Ben Reilly was Spider-Man during the Onslaught Heroes Reborn thing, where like if you thought the Clone Saga was convoluted, then Onslaught is
Oh boy.
Onslaught's not nearly as convoluted as all the various characters in the Clone Saga. There's characters like their story was dead ends. You didn't find out like what happened with them, like Judas Traveler or whatever. And there was so many
I forgot
things.
he was even a character
Yeah.
until you just mentioned.
There's like all these things in the Clone Saga that were
I mean,
never even buttoned up.
I guess
By
at
the
least
end of it.
Onslaught tied it all together with a neat bow.
Yeah, the thing that I remember most about the second Clone Saga, aside from trying to keep up with it for the first year, and then saying, wow, this is a huge investment, I'm just not really doing it anymore, is there was a Spider-Man trading card set at the time, and most of the characters, most of the cards in that set, I swear to Christ, were from the second Clone Saga. Like Kane, Judas Traveler, Miles Warren,
Spider-Side?
Spider-Side was in it. Oh my god, just so many Spider-Men. So many Peter Parker clones. So many.
I remember being angry about it too, or being angry about the second Clone Saga at the time too, because I don't know, like somehow I remember me and my cousin, used to read comics at the time and stuff, and I think I like with other, things like I think people suspected it was temporary, so they were willing to go along on the ride, but I think I really did have the idea that they were going to get rid of Peter Parker, and I remember I didn't like that, when I was a kid at that time. And,
I don't like it either, but
I didn't really know, and it's not like I had any idea what people were talking about editorially, I don't think, unless they were talking about that in Wizard at the time, but, I mean, it was really, I remember really being put off by the idea that they would ditch Peter Parker.
I was never so much put off by that as I was just the time investment and the monetary investment. I mean, paper routes and mowing lawns. Trying to keep up with a maxi series for like 8 years is a problem. It was just really long. Like if they ever, I take it they have released trades.
Yes.
How many trades have they released?
I think 8.
It's
at least.
It's literally 8.
I think at least 8.
5 that are labeled the Clone Saga.
Okay.
And then there's some that are under the Ben Reilly name.
Yeah, there's
Okay.
more like 10 or 11.
Yeah.
It's going to be like, I think, more than... It's their omnibus in it right now. I think it's going to be like 4 or more omnibuses.
4 omnibus.
Or more. I think it
Yeah.
might even be more.
Yeah, and that's not even counting Clone Genesis.
Yeah.
The original Clone Saga.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, that's... Maximum Carnage, not to jump into that, but we're talking...
That's have like 5
Yeah.
at least. Well, if there's an omnibus, those are what, like
Yeah.
24 issues each or something. Yeah.
Well, it's
so,
funny because that's only 14 issues.
yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, Maximum Carnage was so easy
It would be like 10 omnibus.
to follow.
It'd be like 10 Maximum Carnages.
Yeah.
10
The
Maximum
second
Carnage.
Clone Saga is 10 Maximum Carni.
No, what's funny is I was thinking how ironic it was. So with the Clone Saga, I remember what it was. I actually believed Marvel when they said, you know, oh, the DNA was wrong. Peter Parker is the clone. Ben Reilly's the real one. Like, I actually believed that at the time.
Everyone
What's
did.
funny is I should have believed it because that's what Marvel was intending at that time.
Yeah.
At that point in time, they really did intend that, which I don't think a lot of people, you know, would be surprised to know that that's what they were really thinking. I didn't,
No.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I should have been smart enough as a kid to you know, like if you're using DC logic as a kid, think, oh, that's going to be overturned. You're going to find out that that's not true later on.
I mean, you obviously weren't a smart kid.
You
Well,
know.
people still think that. Like when Dr. Octopus replaced Spider-Man for a year.
Yeah.
People are
the
still
superior
flipping out.
Spider-Man.
Yeah, people are still flipping out. Like, oh no.
Peter Parker?
He's going to be Spider-Man forever.
Oh my god, Dr. Octopus is Spider-Man, what the fuck?
Forever?
Fucking forever? Fuck
Oh
that!
man.
I'm gonna cancel my subscription. I don't even think people have them anymore. Stop mailing them to my house! It's 2019!
I can't do it anymore.
Too much mail!
Ugh.
Alright, so shall we move on, or do you have any final thoughts about Clone Saga, Trevor?
No, I think we covered it pretty well.
Alright, so Jeff, what's your first choice?
My first choice, I'm going to go with, I guess, the Sinestro Corps War from 2007. You know, had never really read Green Lantern before, like, in my entire life, and then Jeff Johns comes on Green Lantern. In I think 2000. I think he came on.
Johns came on to him.
I think he came on to Green Lantern in 2004, right? Rebirth was like 2004.
Yeah.
Somewhere around
Somewhere
there.
around there.
Yeah. It was slightly before Infinite Crisis.
Yeah. So I think it's around 2004, and Jeff Johns brings Hal Jordan back and comes up with this crazy way that Hal Jordan wasn't a crazy person that killed a lot of people.
During
Yeah,
Zero
it's
Hour.
Parallax.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, he killed a lot of people during, it was after,
Or no, 0 Hour, what?
it was
restored
later
him?
on. No, Zero
Right,
Hour,
yeah.
that was like his peak evilness.
Yeah.
Okay.
But like, he went crazy after the death of Superman.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
After Mongol destroyed the
Coast
city.
City, yeah.
And he was never the same after that. And so Jeff Johns, you know, he found a way to undo that and bring Hal Jordan
Found a
back.
way by making up a way to do it.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't logical.
Yeah.
Like, Jeff Johns' reasoning that Hal Jordan wasn't crazy was because he was infested by an evil space bug.
Yeah.
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 An evil yellow space bug had infested Hal Jordan and made him crazy.
Yeah.
That was Jeff Johns' way of getting around
Yeah.
Hal Jordan being crazy.
There's a perfectly logical explanation here. It's an evil space bug.
Yeah. But what was it? Johns and like Ethan Van Sciver at the time or something. Anyway, it was just a really good creative team, and Jeff Johns was coming into his own as a writer, and it's just a creative force in comics, in DC Comics. And to me, Sinestro Corps was the pinnacle of where he got everyone in the comics world, whether you're a DC and Marvel fan, you were reading Sinestro Corps
I
War, which
wasn't.
was a Green Lantern-centric event,
I didn't read it.
you know.
I've never read it.
Well,
I never will.
And the cool thing about it, too, was much like Dark Knight's Metal, it sort of fleshed out the mythos of specifically the Green Lantern slice of the DC universe.
Yeah.
And it went back, correct me if I'm wrong, Jeff, but didn't it sort of bend back toward an Alan Moore?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. The kernel of the story was actually Blackest Night was almost more based off of Alan Moore, but you could tell Sinestro Corps War that
John was getting some ideas from that.
Yeah, he was getting
Now, what was
Sinestro Corps War was sort of, sorry to cut you off, but it sort of introduced this whole idea of spectrum lanterns.
Yeah.
And not just green and yellow, but there were other colors on the light spectrum that could be like lantern core-ish things in and of
I think
themselves.
that was in the wake of Sinestro Corps War. I think it was afterwards, right? Or
I believe it was, but
concepts they represented too.
Yeah.
The different colors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, what was Sinestro Corps War about? Just like the Green Lantern Corps going up against the Sinestro Corps?
Yeah, Sinestro Corps War is really just sort of Hal Jordan comes back in Green Lantern Rebirth and beats Sinestro, and Sinestro is able to pretty much spends his whole time, building an army of his own Green Lantern Corps with
Yellow Lanterns.
Yeah, Yellow Lanterns,
but instead of being based on willpower, it's all based on fear.
Yeah. And he builds this. It's like a Lantern Civil War. He creates this Lantern Civil War yeah. I mean that's essentially what it is. It's Sinestro's revenge. It's him trying to, if he was losing because he didn't have a ring, now he has one. And now he has his own Green Lantern Corps. He was, and Johns does a great job of making Sinestro a much more interesting character. This character that is sort of like Magneto. He believes that he's this sort of the ends justify the means kind of character. He thinks that Johns frames Sinestro as somebody that believes that he actually tests the Green Lanterns and makes them better.
Yeah.
If he does, and if he's not the villain to them, then they're not going to be as good as they need to be.
Yeah. Basically, instead of just being an evil Green Lantern, he is now his own character.
Instead of this mustache twirler like David Niven might have been, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's made into a much more interesting character philosophically.
Now, does he do any cross-dressing like he does in the Warner Brothers special Legends of the Superheroes?
Well,
God.
Yeah, I think the right question is how much cross-dressing does he do? Because that's an integral part of his character.
That's true.
But I mean, the event's unique. I'm going to just not answer that and then go into...
Well, in that case, it does insinuate that it's like 90% cross-dressing.
It's suitable.
Yeah.
It's a suitable amount.
Yeah.
But I mean, the Sinestro Corps War is sort of like Dark Knight's Metal before Dark Knight's Metal. Here's a Green Lantern-centric event, and then it brings in Batman, Superman, and all these other heroes, and the Anti-Monitor from Crisis on Infinite Earths, and it really, I mean, it was very pioneering, to have, Green Lantern titles be the center of the DC universe for a time.
I know that there was even
it's very
talk...
pioneering to make people care about Green Lantern, yes.
Yeah, I know that there was talk, or at least we even talked about it at the time.
Yeah.
The DC Universe Trinity is historically Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman. We were wondering if they were going to... Because Wonder Woman wasn't quite as prominent as she once was. we were wondering, are they going to make it Superman, Batman, and Green Lantern?
Yeah.
Because Green Lantern was at that point as popular, arguably, as Superman and Batman.
I've always had a problem with Green Lantern, not because of the character, but because like people I've known who have cited Green Lantern as their favorite character.
Matt Haywood.
Yeah, and this other kid I knew named, I'm not going to say his name, but I knew him in grade school. But, like, they've all been, like, colossal jerks.
Really? You knew someone from grade school, their favorite character was Green Lantern?
Their favorite characters were Green Lantern and X-Man.
X-Man?
X-Man. Nate Summers from the Age of Apocalypse.
There is someone whose favorite character was X-Men?
Yes, we would draw amalgam characters, and one of his characters was an amalgamation of Green Lantern and X-Man.
That is like the worst amalgam character I have ever heard of. What would his powers even be?
According to this guy, would draw everything.
Well, that fits.
It was basically a Matsuhiro before Matsuhiro existed.
And this isn't Matt Haywood that we're talking
No,
about?
this is a completely different person.
Okay. That's bizarre.
I know.
That's
X-Man?
X-Man.
It's the X-Man part that I'm stuck on. It just shocks me that anyone...
I'm stuck on this whole person. I feel like we should we should devote the rest of the podcast to discussing this person. You know, I mean, it's...
Yeah, let's get a little Freudian and Jungian on this person. What the...
Science is science.
Yeah, what the hell was going on with this kid? This kid go on to shoot up a high school or something?
Oh, he's teaching like
Did both of his parents abuse him?
No, like he grew up really well adjusted. I don't know why he would like Green Lantern and X-Men so much.
Yeah, growing up really well adjusted. You say that, but then you also say that...
Like now he's like a professor at a college somewhere.
What college? Berkeley?
No, like an actual college. He's teaching like Latin or something.
An actual college? Not UC Berkeley?
Like he has like an actual career and stuff going on.
What is wrong with this guy?
I don't know.
What?
Actually, this explains a lot if we're being honest.
That's true.
Think about it.
Like, and he was like heavily into sports too. Like he would always draw Kenny Lofton, and he was like trying to make comics about Kenny Lofton.
What?
Yeah.
I'm surprised his favorite character wasn't NFL Super Pro. Well, I mean, let's face it, NFL Super Pro was awesome.
Oh yeah, he was. I liked him.
Yeah. You have like every comic he was ever in, don't you?
Not yet.
Okay, you're working on it though.
Every comic Mad Dog was in.
Oh, that's true. All 6 of them.
Yes. They were flip issues, so. Oh, sorry, Jeff. Do you have anything else to say about Green Lantern? Sinestro Corps?
No.
Yeah, I think this revelation that you knew someone who actually liked X-Men killed that conversation. People who are listening to this right now are probably shutting it off. They're like, X-Men, what the fuck is this?
What Green Lantern did he like too? Hal Jordan at that point.
Kyle Rayner.
Okay.
Oh, what? Are you fucking kidding me?
That was Green Lantern at the time.
Not even Jon Stewart?
No. Well, John Stewart was a Green Lantern at that point.
I thought he was still Green Lantern at that point.
No, there's only one ring left, and Kyle Rayner got it.
Well, Jon Stewart was around in...
I think you might be right. This is before that you could have multiple Green
Okay.
Lanterns of Earth.
Oh.
Now,
okay.
here's what happened. After, when Hal Jordan went crazy, he destroyed the Green Lantern Corps. He killed them all.
Mhm.
So there's only one ring left. And I think a Ganthet or something took it to Earth and gave it to Kyle Rayner.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So it was the only existing
Okay.
ring. He was the only existing Green Lantern at that point.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then when Jeff Johns Jeff Johns was the one who jump-started the whole Green Lantern Corps concept up again.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So
And
bring
to be
everything...
honest, that's probably Jeff's best work right there. The Green Lantern stuff.
It is.
Yeah,
Actually,
yeah.
I'm not actually a big reader of Jeff Johns anymore. I'm not a big fan of him anymore. But this was the prime of his career. Absolutely, it's the best run he's ever done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kyle Rayner and X-Men. Could he pick 2 worse characters?
I mean, probably, but I'd be hard pressed to figure out who.
Like,
The search is on.
Like, there are some characters who, like, they're not that great, but you can like them. But then there's characters who are just unlikable. And 2 of those characters are Kyle Rayner, Green Lantern, at that point, and X-Men. I think they've kind of revamped Kyle Rayner's character since then, so he's much less insufferable, but...
that's like saying your favorite comic characters are Bloodshot and Bedrock. But I think even me saying that, there's something sort of quaint about that.
Yeah, you're just like
quirky.
a 90s extreme image guy.
Yeah. Like even me saying that, I
don't mind Bloodshot.
Yeah, I mean, well, exactly. There really is no comparison to Kyle Rayner and X-Men. Not just Kyle Rayner. That's enough on its own. And X-Men. Which is also enough on its own.
The dynamic duo of shit.
Yeah, I was going to talk about Nightfall, or Death of Superman at this point, but I think instead we should talk about Age of Apocalypse. Because honestly, I have 3 choices, and one of them was just an excuse to talk about the weird maxi crossovers of the 90s. Like Nightfall, where Batman was replaced for a while, and Death of Superman, where he was replaced for a while. But then there's Age of Apocalypse, where everyone in the X-Men universe was replaced for a while.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, definitely the 90s. I don't know why the 90s specifically was this age of change.
It was Image.
It was because of Image?
It was because of Image.
Okay.
Like, Image was a big thing, and everyone, and all the Marvel and DC were like, oh man, they're making so much money. How can we make our characters more like their characters? Let's give Superman a mullet.
Oh no. Let's kill him.
And then give him a mullet.
Yeah. Let's break Batman's
Let's bring
back.
back.
I never thought
Yeah.
about it that way, but you could be right. Yeah, maybe Image was taking so many chances and it was paying off for them at a time when you still had millions of people, buying certain books, right?
Yeah,
You
like
know.
X-Men 1 stole so many copies.
Yeah. And so, maybe that's what just caused these companies to go crazy or take risks.
Yeah, and it reached a head during the Onslaught thing with Heroes Reborn, where they rebooted Avengers and Fantastic Four, like all those families of characters, and they put like Rob Liefeld in charge. They put Image people in charge of these Marvel books because historically the Image people were making so much money doing the Image books, and Marvel had them on their payroll for a while. I mean, Rob Liefeld created Deadpool and Cable.
McFarlane, Spawn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like during this time, you had just Marvel and DC trying to copy so many things from the more edgy, less inhibited Image.
Yeah, they were trying to go more extreme and really just change things up. Ben Reilly and the Second Clone Saga, replacing Peter Parker, could be seen as an example of that. Even if it wasn't taking things in a more edgy direction, just changing it up so it's not the same characters in the same mantle.
Yeah.
As the classics who have been there in some cases for 40 or more years.
And then they just come back anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because ultimately you can't reinvent the wheel.
And I think Heroes Reborn was another one of those things that was supposed to be forever. But then it was just like, oh man, this isn't doing nearly as well as we thought.
Mm-hmm.
Let's kind of step this back a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a lot of backstepping.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a lot of
course correction.
Yeah.
Like they were trying things.
What's that?
Jump in, jump out, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were seeing a lot of things that seeing if they worked, then they wouldn't. So they'd have like a maxi series detailing about, oh no, we didn't mean it to be like this.
Well, they just underestimated Image completely. They didn't expect them to go anywhere.
Yeah. Spider-Man even had a thing where they were trying to like redo his origin with like Spider-Man Year 1. John Byrne was doing
That was
that.
chapter 1, right?
Something like
That
that.
was chapter 1. That was towards, it was chapter 1.
Okay, but yeah, John Byrne was writing it, and no one liked it.
Yeah, that was really, I mean, it is one of the worst Spider-Man stories just ever. Yeah.
Is that worse?
That was right before their bankruptcy. It was
Yeah.
actually like on the eve of their bankruptcy.
Oh, I forgot about the bankruptcy.
Yeah. All these reinventions. They didn't just not pay off. They really didn't pay off.
Yeah, Marvel.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of different reasons. I mean, it wasn't just those crossovers. But
Well, no, but I mean that wasn't the magic bullet that
Yeah.
solved all the problems that they were already having.
Yeah.
It didn't. None of that worked nearly as well as they had hoped.
Yeah.
And certainly it didn't work well enough for them to not file for bankruptcy.
It worked a lot better for DC.
It did.
Like the whole Nightfall and Death of Superman thing was still a lot better than like probably Onslaught at least.
Well, I think too because Death of Superman and Nightfall,
They were novel.
and they weren't convoluted. They weren't as convoluted. Like Marvel during this time, if I recall correctly, and again, Trevor, you brought it up and you said it perfectly. It was like this sort of quaint, appealing, convoluted mess. But it was still kind of a convoluted mess. It's like they overthought these changes. Whereas DC was like, you know what? Batman's going to face a really strong guy who's just as smart as he is, and Batman's back is going to get broken. That's it.
Okay, one thing about that whole story, like just one thing I'm going to pick out that I never understood, was after Batman 497, which was the issue where something 497, I think it was Batman 497,
No, I think you're right, yeah.
where Batman broke Bane's back.
Or
In the
Bane broke Batman's back.
Yeah. But in the very next issue, Bane is standing on top of a building holding the broken Batman above him.
Yeah.
And did Bane just carry Batman all the way there?
I think the answer is yes.
Of course.
Yeah. I mean, Bane was hyped up on Venom at the time.
Like, you go from Wayne Manor, which has historically been, like, on the outskirts of Gotham City, to this crowded city block.
Presumably...
Bane was really strong, though.
Yeah.
I know. But I would like a comic of that, where Bane is just, like, walking around with Batman.
Just another night in Gotham.
Actually, they never showed how Bane got into the Batcave either. But then years later,
I remember you showed me that.
Yeah, the Lost Pages
Yeah.
where it showed him beating up Alfred and getting into Wayne Manor.
I wish they had done the Lost Pages with Bane walking Batman's broken body.
Yeah.
Until Gotham City.
I actually think he might have taken the Batmobile.
I
I like to think that...
I don't think he would have fit in the Batmobile.
No, that's true.
Like, you'd have to have the top down like a convertible.
I think he probably did. I like to think that that's how.
I think he took Alfred's scooter. I think
he took the Bat Gyro. The Bat Gyrocopter from the 40s.
He injected himself with Bat Shark repellent.
How would...
I will take all of it.
He went back and forth and did all these things. Because he's Bane and he could.
He just left Batman's body on the top of the building for a while, like, just did all this nonsense.
Yeah.
Then he came back and said, alright, I'm going to throw him off the building now.
I will break you. And drive your car.
And steal your shark repellent.
That was my terrible Tom Hardy impression.
I was born at the doctor.
Alright, shall we move on then?
Sure.
For my non-answer.
Well, no, it's an answer.
Yeah.
It's basically...
I just like all those weird things where they tried to reinvent characters.
Yeah, the 90s reinvention period.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
some worked, some didn't.
What's that?
Some worked and some didn't.
Yeah, I think like most of the Marvel ones didn't. They tried to reinvent Captain America. They made Tony Stark evil and then a kid.
Yeah, like I said, It's like they totally overthought their changes.
Yeah, and then they didn't work.
It's almost like the people in the editorial office kind of were experiencing a period of ADHD.
Yeah.
Where they're like, oh, what if we made Tony Stark evil? Oh, dude, what if he became a kid? That's awesome. What if we made him a Frankenstein? And it just like went on and on.
They made Punisher a Frankenstein.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I just realized after I said that, I'm like, oh, wait, that actually happened to a character.
Yeah.
He was a Frankenstein monster first, right? And then he was made into an African-American person.
No, that was... Wait.
But he was like an African-American angel of vengeance or something.
No, that was another time, I think.
Okay. So,
Well,
a lot of weird things happened to the Punisher.
Okay, yeah, he became African American for a few issues, and he came with Luke Cage. But the reason for that was because he was on the run, and he needed to have like facial reconstruction surgery, and the side effect was his melatonin levels went askew, so he looked African American and not like the Punisher.
That's actually even crazier than Punisher being the Angel of Death.
And then he became, then it like reverted, like the surgery didn't take and his face just changed back. And then later on, he was the Angel of Vengeance.
I like how they couldn't do that in 2019. Like, that is not a story they could tell right now.
It wasn't a story they could tell then.
They need to.
That's true.
They need to retell the story.
Well, now he's the Ghost Rider.
Oh, is he really?
What is it, the Galactic Ghost Rider or something like that? I forgot. There's a Cosmic. There we go.
He's the Cosmic Ghost Rider.
The Cosmic Ghost Rider.
Like, they need Christopher Priest to retell the story.
Actually, making Frank Castle the Ghost Rider of any sort kind of makes a weird sort of sense.
I mean, he's a spirit of vengeance.
Yeah. It would be like... It's like when they tried to make someone the Spectre.
Hal Jordan.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like when they made Hal Jordan the Spectre. Actually, no, that didn't make sense. Never mind.
Oh yeah, Hal Jordan was dead, and Jeff Johns just brought him back from the life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brought him back to life.
Yeah. Yeah, I like how
I forgot
Hal
about
Jordan
that.
was the Spectre. I forgot that he was for a time. Okay, so maybe Marvel wasn't the only one who overthought a lot of these things.
Well, I mean, there's a Hot Pants Wonder Woman from, not when she had pants at the beginning of Heroes Reborn, because that costume actually looked okay. When she was wearing, like, biker shorts and a leather jacket.
I don't think anyone complained about that.
A lot of people complained about that.
I didn't complain about that.
I mean, the look was alright, but not for Wonder Woman.
It
But
could
then
be like
again-
a casual Wonder Woman look.
Oh, yeah, but, like, Wonder Woman is one of those characters they keep on trying to reinvent. Like, during the 70s, they took away her powers and just made her a secret agent for a while.
Yeah.
And then she reverted back after Linda Carter was popular.
Remember when Hippolyta was Wonder Woman for a while?
Yeah. And Artemis.
Yeah.
Remember when Clark Kent was a TV news anchor
Yeah.
for Morgan Edge?
Yeah. Yeah, that was a big thing during the 70s.
Yeah. The 70s was another odd time of reinvention.
Yeah.
But not to the
That was
degree...
a more organic reinvention.
Yeah.
Except for, like, Wonder Woman.
Yeah, that was just what the fuck.
Yeah.
So, speaking
Well,
of
it's weird because those are like two of my favorite decades in comics. The 70s and the 90s.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
there was a lot of great stuff that came out in the 70s and the 90s.
Yeah, it's just, they did some weird stuff.
Yeah, it's... Yeah.
I mean, Marvel Monsters was pretty great.
Yeah, it was.
In the 70s.
Oh, hell yeah.
Okay, so for the 70s, DC was trying so many things as a Marvel. In the 90s, Marvel and DC were trying to do so many things as an Image.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Like, Marvel was a big thing, and DC was like, alright, we have to reinvent ourselves so we can kind of compete.
Yeah.
Keep up.
Okay, anyways, what's your second choice, Randy?
Alright, so I originally was going to say Blackest Night, but we kind of already touched upon that.
Yeah.
in Jeff's thing that we hijacked with Kyle Rayner and X-Men. So I'm gonna go with Infinite Crisis.
Ooh.
I fucking hate the ending to Infinite Crisis. But like the ending is just so underwhelming to me. But everything leading up to it was so awesome.
Oh yeah, like, the actual miniseries wasn't that great, but
No, but Villains United, Secret Six,
yeah,
OMAC Project,
yeah,
and all of those limited series leading up to it, all the tie-ins were awesome. I remember it was sort of like it was meant to be, of course, a sequel to Crisis on Infinite Earths, but it was ongoing in like 2004, 2005, and it was basically, from what I can understand of Infinite Crisis, and Jeff, correct me if I'm wrong, or anyone correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't it meant to be a way to reintroduce the multiverse, which had been sort of cast off by DC after Crisis on Infinite Earths?
Yeah, it really was. Whatever multiverse things had been between, before that were not really clear, or
It was like What If.
Yeah.
They had a lot of...
Elseworlds.
Yeah, which were, like anyone who's a Marvel fan, they were like the equivalent of What Ifs.
yeah.
Yeah, but most of the time they were like
I mean,
limited series.
there was something like
that.
JLE Incarnations. I mean, there were certain multiverse things, but it was not clear, and it was just not promoted.
Yeah.
And
And there was no real rhyme or reason to
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And I think DC recognized that Crisis had a certain cachet about it. You know what I mean? And so they just wanted to kind of homage the Crisis on Infinite Earths, but also market the multiverse again. You know what I mean? And so,
Yeah.
and so I think you're absolutely right that there was.
Yeah, we should probably take a minute to talk about the Crisis on Infinite Earths. Not to any extent, but like that was like the first big crossover thing.
Yeah, it was... Crisis on Infinite Earths was sort of DC's event that they used to restart the universe.
You guys are taking my other selection.
Okay, then we won't talk about this yet.
Okay.
Let's go back to
So-
Infinite Crisis.
So Infinite Crisis is a sequel to Jeff's other selection, which shall remain nameless because we'll let him introduce that.
Okay.
And really, a lot of funny, interesting things happened during Infinite Crisis. Again, the build-up to it was amazing. The tie-in titles were
And
fantastic.
I like the 1 year later thing, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 1 year later thing, everything surrounding the actual event of Infinite Crisis was fantastic.
But the actual Infinite Crisis.
Yeah, like, I remember there was a comic that had a Reverse Flash Bizarro Superman race. And I don't remember what comic it was, but like the banter between Reverse Flash, Professor Zoom, and Bizarro Superman was just fantastic. And it was like, why had no one thought to do that before? Sort of that riff on the Flash Superman races. Another really awesome part of it was the 3-issue Superman tie-in for it, where Earth 2 Superman and Modern Superman sort of came to blows.
Yeah.
And every time they would punch each other, they would sort of live each other's lives.
And that's how Jason Todd came back.
Yeah. Jason Todd coming... Alright, so not everything.
Well, Jason Todd turned out to actually be a really good character after the initial Red Hood thing.
Actually, that wasn't how Jason Todd came back. Jason Todd came back because Superboy Prime was punching.
A super person punched something.
Yeah, Superboy Prime was a cool villain that they ultimately just sort of... Like, it wasn't... His resolution wasn't satisfying to me.
I think he's come back a few times.
He has. He certainly was in Blackest Night.
He's one of those characters, like Doomsday, who were introduced to be the ultimate villain for an event, but they don't really have a place after the event.
Yeah.
like Bane arguably found a niche afterward.
Arguably.
Yeah, no, Bane has turned out to be a
intellectual
very
too, so.
Yeah.
Bane is panned out as being not a one note and endurable villain.
Yeah, whereas Doomsday is just like, I'm big and I don't talk, so I shouldn't be talking.
Yeah, Doomsday is kind of...
His job is...
I like Doomsday. I like the concept of Doomsday.
But his job is to kill Superman. That's his thing.
Yeah.
And if...
No, the problem is that if you try to develop Doomsday, you're getting away from what makes him work. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I don't mind the man who's backstory, but trying to do anything further with him, that's...
It's arguably like trying to make Harley Quinn an empowered feminist.
I like that in the pre-crisis. Like, when it was organic, when it happened over a course of years, and it wasn't just, like, a thing that was now.
Harley Quinn?
Yeah.
In pre-crisis?
Yeah, like, she got away from the
Pre-Infinite
joke. Yeah.
Pre-Infinite Crisis, right?
Yeah.
Pre-New 52. Probably.
Yeah, pre-New 52. Just,
Yeah.
Like, there was... She actually had character growth, and I like that for her. But I don't like what they're doing with her now, where she's just like a Deadpool ripoff with boobs.
Yeah, she is a Deadpool ripoff.
But
They already have a
Deadpool part I
Deadpool.
like.
They already have a Deadpool ripoff. He actually,
Bushbug?
yeah, and he actually predates Deadpool, so I don't know why they're using him more.
They also have a Deadpool ripoff in Slade Wilson. Who also predates Deadpool.
Yeah, like that's also a fun one though.
It's really not.
I mean, it's true. It's completely true. But
Yeah. I just don't like Harley Quinn, period. I guess. Like, I think Harley Quinn works as the ultimate battered wife.
Yeah.
Like, Batman villains work best when they represent something.
Yeah.
Or when they're archetypical of something.
Yeah.
it's telling that when a Batman villain loses that, they usually become a hero. Like Riddler, when he wasn't, like, he reformed for a little while.
Yeah.
He became a private investigator.
Yeah, Harvey Dent, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's kind of getting away
Well,
from
Andy,
Infinite.
I know what you're referring to.
What's that?
You're talking about like what they're doing with Birds of Prey, the movie, right? When it comes to Harley Quinn.
Yeah, but they're kind of doing that in the comics too, and they've been doing that for a while. It's like Birds of Prey is getting everything wrong.
Ever since New 52, they've been trying to reframe Harley Quinn as this DC Deadpool character.
Yeah,
I don't like that.
But even Birds of Prey even gets that
This
wrong.
feminist kind of character, you know. Yeah.
Like, Birds of Prey takes what the comics are trying to do, turns it up to 11, makes Black Mask gay, flamboyantly gay.
The Suicide Squad version of all those characters was... Like, this DCEU, other than, like, Aquaman and Wonder Woman, they haven't done really well with their characters.
No, and there's a reason for that.
polarizing.
Yeah. Or any sort of Batman movie. Because any movie with Batman in it, automatically it's probably going to make money. Just on name value alone.
Yeah, anyway, back to Infinite Crisis. Though most of those things I did just mention happened post-Infinite Crisis.
Yeah.
Like, they're a direct result of Infinite Crisis.
Yeah.
So,
More or less,
kind of
yeah.
back to what you're talking about.
One of the cool things that Infinite Crisis did as well is it reintroduced Joe Chill as the assassin of the Waynes.
Yeah.
Post-Crisis on Infinite Earths, Batman did not know who shot his parents.
That was because of Zero Hour. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a really stupid idea around the time of Zero Hour, which was like, what, 1994, 95?
Yeah. Like, the reasoning behind it was that, like, if Batman knew who did it, was able to get him, he wouldn't have this drive to do what he does.
Yeah.
But then in Infinite Crisis, he realized, no, he's Batman. He's going to do it anyway.
Yeah.
But Zero Hour was so misguided because Batman's not about revenge. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, and by making, you know, him, the killer, be unknown or not caught, that shouldn't matter to Batman.
No.
I
And
sure
so
about
Jeff Johns realized that, you know. And,
Sure about Zero Hour with me.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh, yeah. 0 Hour, there's a good time. convoluted good time.
Oh, there's another convoluted thing I want to talk about later after we're done with other stuff.
Oh yeah, that's fine.
Like, I feel after we're done with everything else, we'll just bring up a few other things.
All right. So I'm done with Infinite Crisis. If anyone has any parting ideas on it, I just thought it was a flawed event, and a lot of actually what I like about Infinite Crisis as well is more the personal end of things.
Yeah.
The things that were going on in reality.
Yeah, we were all getting really into it.
We were getting so into it that the whole Crisis on Infinite chat rooms thing happened. In tandem with it.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that later.
Maybe,
yeah.
Maybe not quite on here today,
Yeah.
but it'll be forthcoming. Trevor,
Also,
I know I brought you up to speed on Crisis and Infinite chat rooms.
I do want to talk
Thank
about
you.
my favorite part of Infinite Crisis. Yeah, overall, Infinite Crisis didn't end as well as it started for me, and that's what I want to talk about. It started so well.
It did.
Infinite Crisis, it started off with a great riff on Alan Moore. Alan Moore in the 80s wrote a very famous Superman story called For the Man Who Has Everything.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, it's been adapted in
The Black Mercy show.
Justice League Unlimited,
yeah.
right? It's been...
On that Krypton show, they used a Black Mercy.
Yeah.
I think in Supergirl, too.
Yeah. Alan Moore, I mean, it's just absolutely one of the best Superman stories just ever written. Ever. But what was interesting about it was...
How Jason Todd got...
I don't know. And For the Man Who Has Everything, it's how you had...
Jason Todd getting horny for Wonder Woman?
You had
Clean
Batman,
thoughts, old chum.
you had Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman working together to stop Mongol. And Jeff Johns sort of took this idea and... I don't know,
Clean thoughts, old chum.
Yeah.
Right?
Well,
that happened during it.
It did.
Jason
I
Todd
don't
was
know
looking
if
at
this has
Wonder
to
Woman.
do with Infinite Crisis. But
Jason Todd was
He came back during Infinite Crisis. Or because of Infinite Crisis.
doesn't
Yeah.
have anything
related
do
to
with-
Infinite Crisis. He came back.
Yeah.
That was pre-Crisis Jason with red hair who dyed his hair black.
Okay, but he was still looking at Wonder Woman's ass, and Batman scolded him, saying, "Clean thoughts, old chum." And then Alan Moore very deliberately had a panel of Batman smirking, indicating that he too was looking.
He knew what was going on.
He knew exactly what was going on. So,
He threw Jason under the bus.
yeah, exactly. He's like, "No, not for you, for me, because I'm
Yeah.
Batman."
Anyways, Jeff, back to what you were saying.
Anyway, preceding Infinite Crisis, DC had effectively, in the Justice League titles and other titles, set up the situation where the trust and the camaraderie between the Trinity, Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman was at its lowest.
We had the Tower Battle thing
yeah,
and stuff,
yeah.
where Batman had weaknesses for all the
Yeah.
Justice League planned out and everything.
Yeah.
And Wonder Woman breaking Max Lord's neck.
And so
Mhm.
Jeff Johns was genius in having the villain of Infinite Crisis in the opening pages be Mongol. And it'd be this sort of, hey, you guys were working together and best friends back in this old Alan Moore story. And then here you are, Mongol's back, and you guys are, at your lowest point in your relationship. And, and it was really cool how he just sort of used that old classic story to he subverted it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what was missing from that? A Robin ogling Wonder Woman. I'm sure if he was there.
I like to think that Jason Todd as Red Hood did it off panel.
Well, he wasn't back yet. Or if he was.
He was.
Okay. Yeah, he
he
was probably
was-
doing it
he
off
was
panel.
back.
Like through a sniper rifle or something.
Yeah.
'Cause-
Yeah, he was back at the time, I believe.
And he was making himself clean thoughts to this little chum.
Yeah, Jason
Yeah.
was back because they retconned it that Jason was back.
As far back as Hush.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
In
he's been
2004.
back for a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, that is actually a really good bit of reference there, and I'm sure Infinite Crisis is filled with that sort of thing. Like if you really follow it, all the the tie-ins and everything.
Jeff Johns seems to borrow a lot from Alan Moore.
He does. I mean, technically, Grant Morrison responds a lot to Alan Moore.
Yeah, Jeff Johns just seems to be like, all right, I like this thing Alan Moore does. I'm going to use it. Whereas Grant Morrison was like, Alan Moore, take this, Alan Moore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And actually, if I could just sort of tie this into my Infinite Crisis thing, I know I'm cheating here. I really fucking love Final Crisis.
Oh yeah, I like Final Crisis a lot more than Infinite Crisis.
Final Crisis begins and ends excellently.
Yeah.
Like Grant Morrison, I cannot talk up Grant Morrison enough.
Yeah. The thing is, though, with Final Crisis, it is better read, though, I think, if you just read the Grant Morrison issues. Like, I think, it's one of those things where I think you can... There's a lot of good non-Jeff Johns stuff that's part of Infinite Crisis that you can enjoy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a more robust...
Yeah.
Whereas Final Crisis, if you just read the Grant Morrison miniseries...
Final Crisis is one of those events where the non-Grant Morrison stuff actually ruins the Grant Morrison stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It dilutes it, it distracts from it, you know what I mean?
Well, and if you read the Final Crisis trade...
Yeah.
That includes the Grant Morrison, Superman issues?
Yeah. And Batman issues and other things, right?
Yeah.
Then you pretty much have the whole story anyway.
Yeah.
I think he held... Grant Morrison held something hostage so he could write Sea Guy, the sequel to Sea Guy. I think it was maybe the 52 series, I think. Did he write that?
Yeah, he wrote Sea Guy.
Mm-hmm. No, did he write 52?
Part of it, yes, he did.
Okay, yeah, I think he told them he wouldn't continue it if he wasn't allowed to write the sequel to Sea Guy.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
He basically held the maxi series hostage. I was like, hey, if you don't let me write this, I'm going to write this for you.
I mean, it was weird though. He only wrote parts of 52. Right? And it was really 52 became a lead into his Batman run.
And the coolest thing about 52 is the villain origin stories in the back of each issue.
Oh yeah,
the 1 or 2 page summaries.
Like they would do. I think they did it with Crisis on Infinite Earths too, something like that.
I think they
afterward.
No. DC at the time had something called Who's Who in DC Comics. That was where you got profiles. They didn't have that in Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Okay, but they did have it in 52.
Yeah.
Mr. Mind was profiled once. Penguin was profiled. Joker, the Joker's origin story was told perfectly.
Yeah.
In that idea that it's a multiple choice sort of thing.
Mark Waid.
With the Brian Boland artwork, just excellent.
Yeah, Mark Waid and Brian Boland.
Yeah. And it's only 2 pages.
Yeah.
Or maybe even just a page.
It's 2 pages.
It's 2 pages? Okay. It's like the greatest Joker origin story.
Yeah.
Basically, it boils down, the sort of Jack Napier 1952 origin.
Yeah.
Well, he wasn't Jack Napier in 1952, but the sort of I was always a criminal.
Yeah, it fuses that.
Yeah, I was always a criminal, and I fell into
Alan Moore.
Yeah, it incorporates that. Yeah. And then it incorporates a third option too, right? Or he says something like, maybe I was just a nobody.
Yeah.
And it's just something that happened to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it just really, it boils down everything. So if you knew nothing about the Joker and you wanted to know everything about his origin, there you go. It's right there. Mm-hmm. And they did, again, something similar with Penguin. It made reference to his origin.
Well, I can't remember the Penguin one.
Yeah, the Penguin one was pretty cool as well. It basically talked about his time in school, how he was made fun of, and etc. But they're really great Reader's Digest versions of who these characters are.
Yeah.
So, that's a lot of DC Crisis stuff that I just crammed in there. Yeah. But, Infinite Crisis. I like it. I liked it for what it was. I like it mostly for what it is. Except for, like, the actual Infinite Crisis part of the story. Everything leading up to it was fantastic.
All right. Well, let's move on to Trevor's second pick.
Well, actually, it sounds like Jeff has a good follow-up to Infinite Crisis, and mine kind of leads into Maximum Carnage, so how about I go last for that?
All right. So, Jeff,
Well, we're gonna go back to not that far, far from where we were talking before. A Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Yeah.
1986.
yeah.
That is, without a doubt, my other pick. And, I think it's most remarkable for being the largest scale crossover event, maybe in the history of all comics. There has never been a story where there's more comic book characters crammed on pages, than any other story ever. George Perez does the art. The scope and the scale of the story is just unparalleled.
Yeah, there's nothing like it before.
Yeah.
And they keep on trying to revisit the whole thing, but...
Trevor, you were going to say?
Oh, I said it's the definition of epic, pretty much.
Yeah. And that's why I've got to talk about it. I wish... I frankly am not a big idea of reboots, and I wish that Crisis on Infinite Earths wasn't intended to be a reboot, didn't operate as a reboot, or the last story before a reboot and all those things. But if you just read the story by itself, it is actually a really fun, fantastic story.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
And the art is just stunning, and it's it was 12 issues, but there's many tie-ins, so it's actually a huge crossover. I think with the tie-in issues, it's got to be probably between 30 and 40 issues.
Probably.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have to read all of those, and some of them are better than others.
Yeah, you don't have to read any of them to get the full story.
Yeah,
I've read the Crisis on Infinite Earths many a time, and
yeah,
it's just fun.
Yeah.
It's a fun read. It's messy.
Yeah.
It's really messy considering what it's trying to do. But,
And what's cool, too, is it's
still good.
It's I've thought about it, too, a little bit before today, is, believe it or not, for DC fans, because of reboots, there's DC fans out there that are sort of pre-Crisis fans and post-Crisis fans, okay? And not everybody, likes what happened with DC after the Crisis. Superman's a really great example. Superman changed dramatically.
Yeah.
When a Marvel writer named John Byrne comes on Superman comics in 1986, he changed a lot of the tone and the style of Superman. Superman was never quite has never been like his pre-Crisis self.
No.
Ever again, really, since those days. And so, if you read Crisis on Infinite Earths, it's a great.
The closest it's probably gotten is All-Star Superman, I would think.
Yeah. So, Crisis on Infinite Earths is this great sort of time capsule of the lighter DC that existed before 1986.
Yeah.
Before the grim, dark era.
Yeah.
Wasn't...
The thing is...
Yeah, Trevor?
Sorry. You know what the funny thing with that is that I'm actually kind of partial to the stuff after that. So,
Yeah. I'm not. My feelings on it are very complicated.
No, that's okay.
There's some great things that happened in Superman's world, I think, after 1986. But, for example, towards the end of John Byrne's Superman run, he has Superman kill people.
Yeah, that's not good.
And that was, to me, it makes sense when you consider that John Byrne's a Marvel person, and Marvel people think, our heroes have to be realistic and all that. Marvel, John Byrne, becomes no different than Alan Moore. In a sense, except, I doubt Alan Moore would have Superman kill anybody, because Alan Moore knew that he was not writing our main heroes. You know, he was writing his own version of. I don't know. So it's. I do. In some ways, I am more of an old school kind of pre-crisis person, and so.
But you did like Businessman Lex, though.
Yeah, Lex Luthor, I think, absolutely needed to change from the pre-crisis version. The pre-crisis version, I remember there was a story where Superman, it's like Einstein's birthday or something like that, and Superman's taking Lex to go see Einstein statues or something like that, and Lex is crying or something like that, and it's just like.
That needed to not happen.
Yeah.
The issue is that with pre-crisis DC, a lot of it was issue by issue.
Mm-hmm.
There was some continuity between them, but long-form storytelling wasn't as big of a thing as it was over at Marvel.
Yeah.
They had those showcases that were pretty much like Marvel Essentials, which were like big phone book-sized comics printed in black and white because we didn't have digital comics at the time. So if you wanted to read some of these old issues, you could only do it cheaply with these essentials. Mm-hmm. And if you read the original Fantastic Four, there will be story elements going from issue to issue. Mm-hmm. But for the same thing with Batman or Superman, each issue has 2 stories in it, and they have nothing to do with each other.
Sometimes even 4.
Yeah, and later on, they would have things going. They would have some nods to long-form storytelling, but it didn't come into vogue until post-crisis, I think.
And again, I mean, I think that's a testament to sort of bend back to something that was said before. It's a testament to Jack Kirby and Stan Lee.
Yeah.
They had this very macro vision of what they wanted Marvel to be in the 60s going forward, whereas DC was just sort of doing what DC had always done.
Yeah.
And that may have been one of the contributing factors to how DC was trying to sort of do different things in the 70s, as Trevor pointed out. So, Crisis on Infinite Earths was probably just more of an attempt, again, to make a more unified, macro-oriented universe out of these desperate one-shot stories and everything
multiple
else.
Universes. Like I said before, they owned a bunch of companies at that point that they did at the beginning of things, and they wanted to be able to use all these characters without confusing people.
Which is interesting, because when you think about several of these characters, some of them could be seen as redundant. Yeah. Captain Marvel is not Superman, but Captain Marvel was Fawcett's version of Superman.
Yeah. He actually sold better than Superman for a time.
Yeah.
He was more popular than him.
So, throwing them together into a universe can work, and does work, but
historically, it doesn't.
As Jurassic Park sort of posed the question, just because you can do something, should you?
Doesn't mean you should.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I think is interesting about, if you look at everything that's happened after Crisis on Infinite Earths, is I think it goes back and forth, obviously, but I think ultimately Crisis has proven to not, or the reboot effect of Crisis has not proven to have won the day in DC Comics. Rebirth was basically a huge mea culpa by DC, saying, you know what, we're realizing these reboots are not really popular with people.
Yeah. New 52 was, that was not received as well as they had.
No, Rebirth. People like
Rebirth. Rebirth is by the end of before New 52, DC had already undone a lot of everything that happened after Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Yeah.
And had characters, pretty much their history in the 60s and 70s was all back,
Yeah.
which was something that, that was not true in the late 80s and early 90s.
Yeah.
And before 2011, DC had pretty much undone all that and basically undone the Crisis without saying so. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then New 52 was an attempt to do another Crisis on Infinite Earths with Flashpoint and have it be really different and not classic, you know, and the past is gone, you know what I mean? And then Rebirth is just, guys, you know, we're sorry. We realize it's just...
We overstepped.
Yeah, we overstepped our bounds. You don't
Please
like
come
it,
back.
and we get it.
We realized that we corrected our mistake before and then made the same mistake
Yeah,
again.
yeah,
Please come back
yeah,
for the third time we make that mistake
Yeah.
in 2023.
yeah,
Or whatever that happens next.
yeah.
Because they will.
Yeah.
And so it's just, it's interesting how, you know, and that's why it's good, I think, to separate the reboot from the fact that it was just a good story. I mean,
Yeah,
it was just
yeah.
a fantastic, epic, beautiful, fun story. It was, and it celebrated everything that DC was about. And we sit here on the eve. It's going to be the Arrowverse and the Flashverse are going to adapt it, which is insane.
Yeah.
I'm way behind on all these seasons, so I don't even know when I'll be able to watch it. But I mean,
Well, I mean, you're not really behind on Arrow. He's still a rich white guy who's always wrong.
He's not rich anymore. Well, he kind of is.
Yeah. He's still cis white male who is always wrong.
yeah,
Or at least according to everyone else on the show, because they browbeat him endlessly. But
Yeah,
just like in the
here's
comics, right? What?
Here's the problem with the CW shows is that you're going to have to try and withstand a whole bunch of definite agenda pushing.
yeah, of course. Yeah.
It's gonna be a bit of a chore.
I don't even remember what happened last season of Arrow.
I'm like, I haven't even seen anything past like Arrow season like 1 or
Well, I've kept-
season 2.
I've kept up with all of it.
Yeah, I'm not caught up. But I'm not.
Arrow's
So,
pretty consistently good.
yeah,
Out of all their shows, Arrow's pretty consistently good.
it's I mean, Arrow's a huge Batman ripoff, and if anyone doesn't see that, they're out of their mind.
Yeah, it doesn't start out that way.
but
No,
it is an
Batman
entertaining
for
show.
sure.
You know, it's an entertaining show because it is as close as maybe you'll get to a Batman show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely has tried to course correct over the seasons and not be such a Batman ripoff. It definitely, like Trevor and you said, started out that way.
Yeah.
But it's been slowly moving away from that.
That's the
Kind
last
of.
season.
But like Stephen
It never moves towards Mike Grell's Green Arrow. It never,
No. I mean, it never will go that far. But it basically takes this Bruce Wayne, not in name, but in character,
Right.
Green Arrow, and puts him in Green Arrow-ish situations.
The weirdest thing is that now they've established that Bruce Wayne and Batman have existed in this universe before.
Yeah, that is weird. Because it's like, why have you not just used that then?
I think at the beginning it was because
DC had that moratorium.
but they weren't sure how well the show would do. Like, they didn't want to throw Batman in and be like, alright, well, this show failed.
I thought they actually had a moratorium on Superman and Batman and Wonder Woman.
Well, there's actually this thing where if there were characters who were in the movies currently, they didn't really want to use them on TV.
Yeah,
There
the
was
moratorium.
Kind of a process going.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I tell people all the time I'm not sure we'll ever see a Batman or Superman show because DC would be afraid of upsetting the film rights.
Well, but Superman's been on Supergirl a bit.
That doesn't count as having his own show, though. Again, I mean, I really do wonder if we'll ever see something like Lois and Clark again. You know what I mean? I'm talking that a Superman titled censored show. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Or a Batman titled censored show.
Well, we had Gotham.
You know.
I'll just see myself out.
I mean, I like Gotham. It was
Yeah.
a really weird show, but if you watch it as like the prequel to the
The Batman 60s show.
yeah, you're like, oh okay, this is gonna come out in West one day.
It makes it that much more
Twist.
exciting. Yeah. It's, oh wow. Oh, Gotham.
like the last season I watched had all like the villains running around, and Bruce Wayne was still like a teenager wearing a non-Batman costume.
Yeah, that.
He's supposed to get it at the end of season 5, I believe.
Yeah, like I said,
Which
like Netflix doesn't have that one yet.
I'm waiting for it.
Yeah.
It's a good Elseworld story.
Yeah.
I'll give it that.
In my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah.
Anyway, where I started off bringing up the Arrowverse and the Flashverse was that, the fact that they're adapting Crisis on Infinite Earths, I think, is a testament
Oh, yeah.
to the enduring popularity of that.
Yeah, the
As a
Monitor
crossover.
was in the last crossover they did.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, Monitor's shown up a few times, I think.
Yeah, like in the last season, he showed up in all the shows.
Mhm.
To kind of,
And they adapted him very well.
Yeah.
I haven't seen him talk or anything, but they adapted him
he,
very well.
he talks well.
Okay, yeah. But anyway, I mean, I'm surprised. I'm glad that the story endures, and I think it is a really good, fun story. I can't list more than Sue, but
Well, we can talk about a few others after we're done.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'll mention mine now. I mean,
What, Char?
Oh, I said it's a testament to how good it is that they're adapting it.
Yeah.
to me, I think of Crisis on Infinite Earths along with Secret Wars. I really love the original Secret Wars.
Yeah, Secret Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That Crisis on Infinite Earths and the original Secret Wars are two really.
You mean Secret Wars or Secret Wars 2 where they're on Battle World?
No, Secret Wars 1 was in the Battle
Yeah.
World. Secret Wars 2, Beyonder came to Earth.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
never mind.
And then they had like another Secret War a few years ago. And I think another Secret War a few years ago.
I thought they had 5 Secret Wars by now. Maybe 6.
I don't know.
No, I don't think so.
I thought one of them was, a few years ago, one of them was definitely Secret War 5.
I don't think it was 5.
Really?
I don't think it was 5.
It feels like they've had a billion Secret Wars.
Okay, there were the first 2, then they had another one a few years ago, which wasn't fun.
So that would be Secret Wars 3, though, really.
Yeah. And then, like, they did another one a year or 2 ago, so at least 4.
Yeah.
The one they did a year or 2 ago, was that the one that was sort of a
Which one's the Hickman
Game
one?
of Thrones knockoff?
The Hickman one.
Was that Secret War?
Yeah, Hickman wrote the Secret Wars.
Huh. Maybe one of them. Like, not the third one.
I'm thinking of the one where Doom is God, basically.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, that whole big thing, that was
Was that a Secret War?
I think part of it was a Secret War.
So then that would be 5.
Yeah.
That would be 5.
Maybe?
I don't.
I don't remember the fourth one.
Wasn't the 4th one the one with Nick Fury where he basically...
No, that was the third one.
I guess maybe you look it up online.
Where they were like invading Latveria?
Yeah, that was the third one. That was a not fun one.
They had a fun idea in it where Nick Fury's like, if this fails, we're just going to drop Frank Castle on one end of Latveria and the Hulk on the other, and
Yeah.
let them work their way to the middle.
Yeah.
Like, I would have loved to see that
Yeah, that would have been
instead
fun.
of what actual Secret War 3 was.
Yeah, Jeff is looking it up. While he's doing that, we'll go on to Trevor's second
I
pick.
think there's only been 3 Secret Wars. There was like Secret War, which was like a Spider-Man thing with Bendis or whatever. That's not the same thing, I think.
I'm counting that.
You're counting that?
Yeah.
That's a Secret War.
Yeah, that's
If
what we
it's
were
a
just
Secret
talking about.
War,
It's
then
Secret War.
We still has Secret War. I'm
that counts.
counting it.
That counts, Jeff.
It counts.
It counts, Jeff.
Well, there's only like 4 of them then.
Okay.
5
It just said 4.
plus 1.
Secret Wars 2, Secret War, and then Secret Wars Hickman 2015.
Okay. And that was the one where
What about the 5th one?
No.
there's been no 5th one yet.
Yeah.
I mean, there will be someday because the name is. They're gonna bank on that name.
I think Civil War was technically meant to be a Secret War.
Maybe.
I'm going to go with that.
Okay.
So there were 5. I'm going to move the goalposts.
All right. Well, Trevor, what's your second choice?
Okay, so at first I was going to pick Spirits of Venom, but then I realized that was only 4 issues.
Yeah, I think it's just a miniseries, right?
Yeah, I believe so. But kind of a foreshadowing of Maximum Carnage, Doppelganger and a Demo Goblin are in it, so there's that. But the one I'm going to mention is the Marvel Inferno storyline, which crossed over a whole bunch of books, mostly X-Men books.
Yeah, that was one from the 80s, right?
Yeah, it was an X-Men event.
Yeah, in the 90s, early 90s, around there. I think, yeah.
Yeah, it was like Madeline Pryor was trying to sacrifice a baby or something. That was part of it.
In some effect. But it basically featured pretty much every major Marvel book. But then again, like I said, it was mostly X-Men titles.
That was when
Claremont.
Claremont was still helming X-Men at the time.
Yeah.
Chris Claremont was helming X-Men, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I believe so at the time. Well, Mr. Sinister and Madeline
Pryor.
Not Pryor, but Pryor, yeah. They were basically the main villains and a whole bunch of demons.
Yeah, they were trying to sacrifice Madeline Pryor's baby.
Yes.
Like, they stole a bunch of babies.
Yeah.
And they were trying to sacrifice these babies, and the X-Men had to stop them.
Wow.
Fuck Infinite Crisis.
They're pro-life.
They're what?
They're pro-life.
Wow.
Well, these babies were already born, so...
Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah.
They crossed that magical barrier that made them real humans, which is the womb.
Yeah, but yeah, like all the other Marvel
Governor
titles,
Virginia would have killed him, though.
they would have,
Oh, that's true.
they would have, like, for a while, whenever anything big would happen in a Marvel title, like, other titles would reference it, like Inferno. Like, I think Spider-Man didn't have, like, actually anything plot-wise to do with it, but, like, the demons did show up, and he was like, what's going on? He was just confused.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, they all... And the great thing about the Marvel books is that they all, like, take place in New York. Like, New York has the highest concentration of superheroes in the Marvel universe, it seems. So, any big event that happens in New York... Yeah, it's like, it's all going to happen there.
Every so often someone will go to California. Like the Champions and Daredevil were in California for a while.
Most Avengers.
Yeah.
Howard the Ducks in Cleveland.
Oh, wow. Yeah. There's that.
Good.
Yeah.
And they had the, after Civil War, they had that registration thing, the 50 States Initiative, with every state had a super team. With like the Great Lakes Avengers, which are a Midwestern super team.
That's true. Mr. Immortal.
Yeah.
And...
Flatman.
Squirrel Girl.
She's not on the team anymore.
She was, though.
Yeah, she was. And then she realized that she was holding them back from achieving their true potential because she was too good.
Yeah, what is the deal with Squirrel Girl being the most powerful superhero in the Marvel Universe?
She's unbeatable.
She really is.
Just because.
Yeah, like, what is with that?
I just her as a joke. Because in her first appearance, she takes down Doctor Doom. And,
Didn't she take down Thanos as well?
Yeah. But, like, in the first appearance, she took down Doctor Doom, and no other writer cared about that story enough to be like, oh, no, that wasn't really Doctor Doom. That was a Doombot or something. So, for years and years, the Squirrel Girl beat Doctor Doom. And they just went from there. They're like, if she can beat Doctor Doom, then who can't she beat?
I don't remember this part of Inferno.
We've moved on from Inferno.
Yeah, if you didn't step out and then come back in, you would have heard all of our connections.
I love this part in X-Men Inferno where Squirrel Girl faces Doctor Doom.
Well, what we're saying is Inferno would have been no big deal if they had just let Squirrel Girl handle it.
I
Yeah.
see.
Because apparently she's the most powerful character in the whole Marvel universe.
Now, we're talking about how many superheroes are in New York and Marvel. And then we're talking about superheroes in areas other than New York. And we got the Great Lakes Avengers and Squirrel Girl, who was part of the team for a while. And then she beat Dr. Doom.
Was there Justice League Detroit?
Justice League Detroit wasn't nearly as fun as Great Lakes Avengers. Like,
Isn't Justice League Detroit just the crime syndicate of America?
No, it was Aquaman, Martian Manhunter, I think, Vibe, Vixen, Steel, and Vixen.
You said Vixen.
No one's gonna care that you
Gypsy.
don't list them all.
Okay.
And, like...
That's a terrible lineup.
Yeah, for, like, in the mid-2000s...
What's sad is that you remember that lineup.
Yeah.
Like, in the mid-2000s, I was, like, getting really into Great Lakes Avengers.
No wonder Detroit is so dangerous.
And I was, like, I was reading it, and then I heard about Justice League Detroit. I was like, wow, it's just like the Great Lakes Avengers. It must be just as fun.
No.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't at all.
Yeah.
Like, I think it was after Keith Giffen's run.
Mm.
So they were trying to scale back the amount of fun the title was.
Mm.
I just have to ask this question that's probably going to make this into a Fictosphere After Dark episode. But do you think Vibe is really popular with the lady superheroes?
He is not.
Okay. Do you think that they maybe mistake him as having a different power than he actually does have
No.
at first?
Isn't Vibe in the show The Flash?
Yeah.
Yeah, he is in the Flash
Yeah.
show.
And he's not very popular with the ladies in that show either.
No, he's not.
Like, Vi's personality outweighs any benefit that his powers might impart upon him in the bedroom.
It doesn't really... Basically, it's just a poor name choice. Okay. Quick question. Not to get too far off of Inferno. Are we ever going to see Apache Chief in the real DC universe?
Well, we had Manitou Raven.
No. I mean Apache Chief.
No. No, we're not. Not without a name change. Like, they had him on Justice League Unlimited, too, but he was Long Shadow there.
Yeah, we do need to get Apache Chief.
Apache Chief is, like, the greatest creation of the Super Friends TV show.
He really was.
He's just a Native American that grows.
Yeah.
And that's it.
I'm so...
Yeah, that's all he is. He's
Yeah.
a Native American in a stereotypical Native American headband, vest, and, like, pants and moccasins.
Yet they relied on him so much more than, like, the other heroes.
Well, he was the only one who could really fight Giganta.
But even past that, like, they would always call an Apache Chief to do things.
That's true.
They won't call on a Silver Samurai, or...
El Dorado.
Yeah.
Because El Dorado was drinking too much tequila.
But,
And
yeah, it'd
taking
always
the
be
siesta.
Apache Chief.
Yeah, it was always Apache Chief.
Apache Chief didn't have any firewater?
No. He would say an upchuck and he would grow.
Well, anyways,
And that was it.
speaking of fire, back to Inferno. Anything else you want to say about Inferno?
It's a good lead in to mention Carnage.
Two things. That's whenever Doc Connors relapsed and became the Lizard again.
One of the
And
times.
then, yeah, he did. And it's the origin of the Demo Goblin. So
Yeah.
I guess that kind of set this up for going into Maximum Carnage.
Well, I want to ask one question, if you remember. What was the big X-Men event that was before Inferno? Was that, what began?
What was it about?
I thought it began with an M. I don't know, it was one... There was one that was before Inferno, but I just can't remember the name of it.
Yeah, but, like, there were a lot of events back then. Like, they don't...
Name some. I know.
I don't remember.
Was that the
names.
Asteroid M one?
No.
It had to do with the Morlocks?
It might have, yeah.
Okay.
I think
The
that's
Mutant
one,
Massacre.
Yeah.
Mutant Massacre, that's it. Wasn't Mutant Massacre before Inferno? Wasn't
I believe
it
so.
the one preceding Inferno?
Yeah, they were around the same time, if
Yeah.
it wasn't before.
I think it was. I think it was just preceding
Yeah.
Inferno. Or either that, or maybe Inferno, and then was Mutant Massacre. I think
Maybe.
it was something like that.
Like, I know Mr. Sinister was involved in both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Mr. Sinister is a much better character than Strife.
yeah,
I forgot about Strife until you mentioned him just now.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's just another Cable clone.
Like X-Man.
X-Man.
Fucking X-Man. Who likes X-Man?
That one guy. Well, anyways, well, speaking of Demo Goblin, as Trevor pointed out, three of us chose Maximum Carnage as one of our choices, so we
did.
saved that for last. Jeffrey didn't. Jeff doesn't remember much about Maximum Carnage, but
I actually don't either.
Mob Rule.
I remember enough about the circumstances surrounding me getting into Maximum Carnage. Like, I remember going to Collector's Warehouse, which was this really awesome comic shop that no longer exists because they tore it down and put up a Rite Aid.
Yeah.
It used to take up 3 storefronts
Yeah.
on one of the main
The
streets.
Rite Aid is closed now, too.
Yeah. Good. It shouldn't remain open. I hope they all lost their jobs, anyone who worked there. And, I hope their families are cursed for the rest of the time.
Yeah, but it moved to, like, another storefront, and then it just kind of died there.
Well, the guy who owned it...
I heard that second storefront got flooded, right?
Maybe.
And then they couldn't.
I think it might have.
Right.
And then I think the guy just retired.
Yeah.
Because he was already old enough to do so.
Yeah.
At its peak, it took up 3 storefronts, one of which was just filled with posters. Nothing but movie posters.
Like the door frame had like this skeleton guy on it.
Yeah, it was like the like a reference to Creepshow or something.
Yeah.
And then the second storefront, they were all connected on the inside. The second storefront was basically like the comic / magazine section, where you had the long boxes and everything, and the new comic racks.
What was cool about Collector's Warehouse is they had action figures, they had comics, they had posters, and they had old sci-fi magazines.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, in the
Which I
third
bought a ton
section,
of.
the third section was all old action figures and role-playing game stuff in the back.
Yeah.
Like the miniatures that you would paint and things. And I remember they had this huge wall of nothing but vintage Star Wars action figures, mint on card, and astronomical prices.
Oh yeah.
Like $500 for a Lando Calrissian in his like disguise from Return of the Jedi. It was crazy, but they also had a bunch of loose stuff too, and they had them all in nice glass cases. So that's basically where I picked up all of the issues of Maximum Carnage. I remember my grandmother would take me there, my mother would take me there, because I didn't drive and it was too far for me to ride my bike or anything from where I lived. So we would go there and I picked up the first issue of Maximum Carnage and I was hooked. My friend had gotten me into X-Men not too long before that, and then it just sort of blossomed into this Marvel appreciation after that. I always did like comic book characters, but I wasn't a comic reader until around that time. The Claremont X-Men run and then Maximum Carnage really got me into Spider-Man. I just liked the character of Carnage a lot for some reason.
Yeah,
Yes.
I definitely always liked Carnage around that time, absolutely.
One thing I don't like about his dialogue in this is that different writers seem to think he should sound different. So a lot of the times he sounds just like a thug, but other times he's talking like an almost Shakespearean dialect.
Yeah, it is a little inconsistent.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what happens when you have how many writers? You have 4 writers doing their thing.
And sadly, the non-Shakespearean is more accurate because Cleese Cassidy did not...
No.
Came from like a really shitty background.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know? And he should just be...
He should sound like Woody Harrelson. Basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Woody Harrelson, making Woody Harrelson Cletus Cassidy in the Venom movie.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
That's just fucking brilliant casting right there. I wish I wish Woody Harrelson were younger.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think Cletus is supposed to be a bit younger than...
Watch Natural Born Killers. I mean, that's his audition tape right there.
Yeah, basically. Like, Woody Harrelson right around the time of Natural Born Killers would have been perfect. But I'll take old Woody Harrelson, too. That's
Cletus
fine.
was thin, too. He almost looked like how they presented how Joker looked in Killing Joke before he was Joker. You know, this sort of thin.
He does this gangly
gaunt.
killer
Yeah.
guy, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think he'll do a good job in the movie.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah. I struggle to think of an actor who would be better in that role right now.
It'd have to be an unknown.
Yeah. Like, the only other person I could think of that might be able to pull off Cletus Cassidy would be weird-ass Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah,
Yeah.
actually, that's kind of...
Yeah.
That's a really outside-the-box pick, but it's
Yeah.
actually a pretty goddamn good one.
Yeah.
I can't believe you just said that.
I
You
can't
just,
either.
blew my mind, actually.
Yeah. Well,
Stroke of genius.
that's what I do. That's what the Fictosphere pays me for. Yeah, Matthew McConaughey as Cletus Cassidy would be pretty fucking awesome. Like, Woody Harrelson is fine. I'm okay with that pick, but you already kind of have the weird hair with him.
Yeah.
With Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah.
You have that sort of natural, sort of southern drawl,
Yeah.
but not really kind of weird way of speaking. He's gangly.
Yeah.
He's still very skinny, and he doesn't look his age.
Yeah. And he's got acting chops, and he's played villains before very well.
Yeah, he can definitely play crazy.
Yeah.
Pretty well. So, I mean, yeah, Matthew McConaughey would have actually, now that I've said it, I didn't even realize it, now that I've said it, he actually would have been my first pick.
Yeah.
But I'll take Woody Harrelson. I'm fine with Woody Harrelson. I just wish they would have made this movie.
I would have been fine with Woody Harrelson until you mentioned Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah. I'm sorry for ruining it for you. But yeah, no, I mean, I really like the character of Cletus Cassidy. He brings to the Spider-Man universe something approximating a Joker-type character that, like, Green Goblin never quite fit.
The Green Goblin is too much of a
DC,
planet.
Marvel and DC basically acknowledged that because they had like a Spider-Man, a Batman crossover.
Yeah,
where
Joker
it was
and
Joker
Carnage,
and
yeah.
Carnage.
Yeah.
I mean, so it was what you just said was acknowledged by comic writers as being true.
Well, but I also like just the fact that Cletus is this. First of all, his name is Cletus.
Yeah.
You can't get more backwoods, wrong turnish.
Yeah.
The hills have eyes, Leatherface than that.
Yeah.
But he also, I mean, his history, his backstory is just prototypical serial killer fare.
Yeah.
Rigging accidents or rigging murders to look like accidents, like his grandmother falling down the stairs when he actually pushed her. Killing the dogs that he killed animals that his mom brought home. Isn't that right?
It's not.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like in this one, they mentioned that he killed either his mother or his father. You couldn't remember who.
Yeah, I think he killed both actually.
Like one of them killed the other one for trying to kill him,
Okay.
and then he killed.
He killed.
That's almost like the Joker multiple choice thing right there.
Yeah, that's true.
The fact that he can't remember it or claims that he can't remember it.
Yeah. It really could have been one or the other.
Yeah.
Um.
For him, it doesn't matter. He just killed someone. That's all he cares about.
Yeah. I like how, yeah, that's something that was sort of lacking from the Spider-Man universe in any substantial way before that. It's sort of a weird mix. I mean, you have this sociopathic serial killer, and then you give him a symbiote on top of that to make him basically Venom.
Yeah,
but
everybody's
more versatile.
Yeah, most of the stories he's been in since then, half the time, he's just nearly unstoppable.
Yeah.
He's always a big thing.
Well, think about how this starts. Last time Spider-Man and Venom encountered him, they thought they destroyed the symbiote. But at the start of this, he gets a cut whenever he's at Ravencroft.
Yeah.
And, the symbiote at some point, merged with his blood.
Yeah.
So all he had to do is bleed, and then the symbiote's back.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it makes him, it ups the stakes that much more, because with Venom, if he loses the symbiote, Spider-Man can deal with him. But with that Carnage, there's one point where they've almost defeated him, and then one of Carnage's allies, Shriek, who is a woman with, sound powers.
She's kind of this Harley Quinn, almost.
Yeah.
She's got this obsession with him. This sort of romantic... I want to say that they become romantically involved at some point later on, if not in Maximum Carnage. I don't remember if they do or not in Maximum Carnage.
They kind of do. The whole... Okay, so Maximum Carnage, if you're not familiar with it, the storyline is that Carnage is killing a lot of people and Spider-Man has to stop him. But Carnage also has allies. He has Shriek, as mentioned. She's this crazy woman that was kind of created by Cloak and Dagger. There's Doppelganger, who was a refugee from the Infinity War, where every superhero had a doppelganger. I don't remember how this one stayed around. There's Demogoblin, as Trevor mentioned.
From Inferno.
Yeah. Who is a demonic Green Goblin ripoff. Carrion shows up, who was this guy who can decay people with his touch.
that actually ties back to the Clone Saga.
Because Miles Warren had to do with his Genesis.
And then this second guy, he got infected with the virus that, Carrion spread. And that's the one in this storyline.
Yeah.
That Carrion.
It's weird because for most of it, Carrion doesn't really say or do anything until like almost the last issue, and then he starts talking. And everyone's
he's just kind of there.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a cool-looking character, but he just kind of shows up. He crawls out of a sewer and joins the Carnage team.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah, and the whole time, Shriek, she's obviously very intrigued by Carnage, and when all these other characters show up, she starts making that she's a mom and he's a dad, and they're their kids.
Yeah.
And Carnage just is all for it, but all the time he's murdering people.
There is someone for everyone.
He's all for it first, but then he flips his switch.
But yeah, later on he wants nothing more to do with it.
Yeah.
But Shriek kept on trying to go off without him and kill people, and he wasn't happy with that.
Yeah, it's interesting because this is almost like Spider-Man's version of the Legion of Doom or something.
It's a really bad Legion of Doom.
Yeah, well, it is, but...
Well, at the time, I think Kraven, Dr. Octopus was still...
Oh, yeah, that's right.
The Kraven and...
Sinister Six.
Yeah. Kraven was dead. Harry Osborn had just died. They started off, Peter and MJ are at the funeral.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, the whole time, Peter's thinking about this. He's thinking about Harry being dead. He mentions it a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, Spider-Man and his team, who, there's a bunch of characters on Spider-Man's team who, you wouldn't expect to be there. You have a Venom and Black Cat, which, you get that.
Sense.
Yeah. Morbius, another Spider-Man guy.
Well, I forgot he was in it, yeah.
Yeah, and then you have Iron Fist and Deathlock, who just kind of show up.
And Captain America.
Yeah, he shows up eventually. Firestar, who makes sense, kind of, because she's one of his amazing friends.
Yeah,
and Human Torch wasn't available.
I like how Firestar... Didn't she not start out as a comic character?
No, she became one.
Yeah.
Oh, Cloak and Dagger in there. Cloak for most of it, but at the beginning, they think that Shriek killed Dagger. So, the whole time, Cloak is oh, I'm so angry. They killed my girlfriend.
Yeah.
And they're oh, no, she's fine. She's cool.
Yeah.
Oh, and, let's see. You mentioned Captain America. This guy
Marvel,
called Nightwatch shows up.
Rip-off Spawn appeared, you know?
Yeah,
Remember Nightwatch, yeah.
Yeah, like he's just Spawn, and he's in there for like 4 pages.
Have y'all ever? Did y'all know about his solo series? About 12 issues.
No.
I actually have that in the same box with Maximum Carnage.
Is it any good?
It had potential. They didn't really do anything with it because Kevin Trench is basically, Nightwatch is basically Spawn but science-based.
All right.
So, I mean, there's potential in that. They just didn't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
I think you just described Mike's next search for comics.
Now, I still have to find Super Pro.
That's true. You don't have all the NFL Super Pro
Yeah, I knew.
appearances.
Okay, so my experience with Maximum Carnage is that, I was always into Spider-Man, but I didn't read many of the comics. My first Spider-Man comic was actually Spider-Man Storm and Power Man Battle Smokescreen.
That's one big difference between me and you is I read a lot of Spider-Man's
Well, I didn't read
classic stories.
I didn't read any superhero comics for a while. Like I said, I only read like Disney and Sonic comics.
Yeah.
So I was aware of Maximum Carnage as it was happening, and like the game and stuff.
Yeah, the game was a big deal.
But it wasn't until like 1996 that I was actually into superhero comics, and for some reason I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna get all the Maximum Carnage comics. And it took me months because I was like going to conventions, going to comic book stores, and at one point cheating someone out of their Maximum Carnage issues. And eventually just got the whole thing. It was like the first storyline like that. I actually went back and tried to collect the whole thing of it so I knew what was going on. And so it was always going to have a special place in my heart.
It was sort of your white whale for a time.
Yeah, but now I have the whole thing and also the trade, which would have rendered the previous quest redundant. But, you know, I like having both the trades and the individual issues.
I'm surprised it just wasn't... No, go on.
Yeah, you go first, Trevor.
I like the individual issues because, it's kind of nostalgic seeing the old ads from the time they were released.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, I do like going back through the old issues occasionally, but like if I just want to read the story, I'm just gonna read it.
Trade's definitely easier.
Yeah.
All right, Jeff, what were you gonna say?
Oh, I was just gonna say I'm just I'm sitting here, been pondering why I don't remember it so well as quite so many other events, and it's just I don't know. I think I've been reading comics ever since Dark Knight Returns came out a bit in '86, and I had a lot of exposure to different Marvel and DC events even after that, and so I think it just gets lost in the shuffle of various stories that I was reading at the time.
Part of it might be to do that there's not much to it. I mean, it's 14 issues long, but the entirety of it is that Spider-Man has to stop Carnage.
Yeah.
It's not like Nightfall, where you have a bunch of moving pieces, or Death of Superman, or even like Inferno, where like there's just so many things going on. It's just Spider-Man and allies have to stop Carnage and his allies from killing people.
Yeah, and there's really no prologue or epilogue arc to it.
Yeah.
No, it's just
it's self-contained.
like I do like that.
More or less.
I do like that because, like I said, it starts off at Harry Osborn's funeral. He had just died, so it just kind of raises the personal stakes for Spider-Man because, like, he wasn't expected to do this. He was actually going to take a break for a few weeks.
Yeah.
And then, all of a sudden, Carnage is back. I have to go fight him.
Yeah.
Mary Jane's unhappy.
Yeah, whereas Nightfall is, it's not just Nightfall. It's Nightfall, Knight's Quest, and Knight's End. Like, you kind of need all of those pieces to make sense of the whole story.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of need like, Batman Venom to make sense of it as well. You need Vengeance of Bane.
Well, I mean, it was spread out across all the various Spider-Man titles. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
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 It was a really cool maxi series that was not scattered to the four winds. And basically it was issue 1 to issue 14, or I'm sorry, part 1 to part 14, and then it's done.
Yeah.
And, it's on to the next story that doesn't necessarily connect directly to this.
It does up the stakes for Carnage a lot, though. Like, before this, he was a big deal. But this story, he kills, like, hundreds of people. It's insinuated. Him and his allies. Like, Shriek, like, one of her powers is she's able to amplify people's vibes. And she's feeding Carnage's psychoticness into, like, common people. Mm-hmm. So the whole city's just going mad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they beat that with, like, a weird machine.
Don't they get something from Reed Richards?
They get a sonic gun from Reed Richards.
Okay.
And then they're like, let's make this weird machine that can cancel out Shriek's vibes. And we'll hook it up to Deathlock and just blast it at them. Mm. And that takes care of her. And
basically, this is Cletus up for a little bit.
Yeah. Well, yeah, like the whole last issue, Carnage is just like more psychotic than usual because, like, the device they used.
He's tripping out, basically.
What?
He's tripping out, basically.
Yeah, like the device made it. Like, it made Shriek realize that she could be redeemed. But it tried to. Like, it was almost doing the same to Carnage. But he didn't want to see it. So he was fighting it the whole time. And, like, the whole last issue, he's having these weird hallucinations and stuff.
Yeah.
While, like, Spider-Man and Venom are trying to chase him down. Because at that point.
Can I just say that I actually kind of find the last issue a little bit disappointing?
A little bit, yeah. Like, after all that build-up, it's just Spider-Man and Venom against Carnage, who's, like, clearly not at the top of his game.
Well, I mean, it just felt like they were doing it because they wanted to tell the readers, hey, Carnage isn't gone completely. He's back. And they could have just done that in a different story. They could have brought him up as a surprise.
Yeah.
That's true.
And it just felt kind of like a tack-on to me. Just like they didn't really need to do it. It kind of felt like it didn't land, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think if they have saved some of, like, the whole... Well, it wasn't Spider-Man Unlimited, which was a quarterly series, which probably wasn't as widely available as the other issues.
And that's how it started, too, the Maximum Carnage storylines. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so that might have had something to do with it. They put, like, the actual climax and whatever story, whatever comic it was in before Spider-Man Unlimited, and that one was just like, well, we want this title to sell, so here's Maximum Carnage, Part 14.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, I just say that because I would have been fine with the way it ended at 13, and then they just start another storyline.
Yeah.
And eventually they just bring Carnage back somehow as a surprise. Like, oh, he's back. He didn't actually get killed.
Yeah, 13 would have been a good, just symbolic number to end on.
Yeah.
Just outside of comics, period, and just thinking about the number 13. It would have been cool for something like a Carnage-based story. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah.
Alright, do you have anything else to say about Maximum Carnage, anybody?
Let's see. I like what they do with the struggle that Peter has to go through.
Oh, yeah, like there's this whole thing where he has to worry about crossing his own line. Where he has to worry about, like, oh man, I don't want to be as dark as Venom and Morbius, but what if that's the only choice?
I mean, it's testing his moral resolve, and it actually, there's kind of a really dark moment, I feel, with his father. Well, we found out later on that actually wasn't his dad.
Yeah.
But, I mean, his dad said some really messed up shit, like he just completely lost his faith in humanity.
Yeah.
Like the fake Parkers?
Yeah.
What were they, robots or were they?
Yeah, they were robots sent by the Chameleon.
Yeah, the life model decoys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. I remember that. God damn it.
I really like the Maximum Carnage video games. Like, those were some pretty...
There was an SNES game, I definitely remember it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there was a Genesis one too.
Yeah, and they were
Yeah.
both basically the same.
Okay.
And they were side-scrolling beat-em-ups like Final Fight. And they were actually really fun.
I definitely played the SNES game, but I might have even owned it. Yeah. Yeah.
There was an action figure line too, I believe.
Yes. Yeah, there was.
Because I remember going to a Kmart whenever I was a kid, and that's actually how I first became aware of it.
Yeah. No, there definitely was. And I think the Deathlock action figure was brought about partially because of that. I think you and Jeff might have mentioned that before.
Yeah.
We called Trevor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, no, that was man. It was a great time to be a kid.
Yeah, I mean, I agree.
It really was. Video games were awesome. Comics were great. Action figures were still a thing, and they still are. But
Less of it. It's like
Yeah.
less.
it's
not
like-
the same.
Yeah.
It really isn't. Anything,
Yeah, I don't really have anything to add to Maximum Carnage.
Jeff?
Oh, I got one more thing,
Oh yeah.
and it's probably maybe controversial for some people, but I kind of find Mary Jane really annoying in this storyline.
Oh, she really is.
All she does is nag. Why aren't you here with me, Peter? You're supposed to be here with me. You shouldn't be saving the millions of lives that are being lost out there. You should just stick with me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
'cause
she
Carnage is on the loose, bitch.
She
Shut
comes
up.
around by the end of it. But, like, for the whole first, 10 issues, she's like, Peter, I'm going to sulk in my apartment alone because I want you to be here with me.
Oh my
I'm
god.
going to go to a
Yeah,
nightclub
it's
and
pretty
dance while there's a murderer about.
But is it because Peter's not telling her what's going on, or is there any way? That
No, he tells her what's going on. He's like, I have to go strap Carnage, Mary Jane.
Oh.
She's like, I wish you wouldn't do this.
Huh.
And Peter's like, I have to, otherwise people are going to die.
Interesting.
Peter touches base every now and then, but I mean, this was before cell phones were really a thing, so it's not like you can keep in touch 24/7.
Like, he does his best.
All she
Yeah.
would have to do is turn on the news though, and she would probably see all the.
Watch the news a little bit.
Yeah, she would probably see all the craziness going down every day.
Like, I get that she might be kind of more worried than usual because Harry just died. And I was in battle
Yeah.
with Peter.
Well, but there's a difference between being worried and being clingy. And
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of side with Trevor on this one, where she comes off more as clingy, like, you need to be here with me because I'm Mary Jane.
Yeah, I think it's just...
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, she does come around by the end of it. By the end of it, she's like, yeah, you have to go do your thing. I recognize that now.
About
But-
time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry, did you not know you were marrying Spider-Man?
And you know, that makes me think it's kind of sad that Felicia Hardy doesn't love the Peter Parker part of the whole duality, because she would actually be the perfect love interest.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because she's actually useful. No offense to Gwen and Mary Jane, but she can hold her own,
Yeah.
and you know,
She would definitely understand the whole double life thing.
yeah.
Like, she gives up at one point. Like, after she's
Yeah.
saved by Night
That
Watch.
kinda stuff.
And I mean, like, if you're saved by Night Watch, you'd probably give up too, but...
Yeah.
She comes around in the end, like in the last issue, in the Spider-Man Unlimited #2, she comes back.
It's like
to
a
help.
comeback for her.
Yeah.
And then she's like the Avengers show up, and she's like, I bet I could be an Avenger. And she goes from not wanting to be a superhero anymore to being like, I could be an Avenger.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, well, any more thing you want to add about Maximum Carnage before we move on to the lightning round?
Jeff?
Okay, so any other like, we're not going to talk too much about any other crossovers because there's already been. Oh God, it's been 2.5 hours. We know
That's fine. Yeah, we could split this up into 2 parts.
No, we're not going to do that. We know that.
No, I mean, it would be really easy to do that, though. Like, you just listen to the end of the first round, and then listen to the end of the second, split that up. Like, so people can not have to download a 3-hour-long thing, and they might actually listen to it.
I think we need to like go to 5 hours and then just round it out to 5 hours.
Okay. Well, then let's talk about let's do 2 more rounds.
Well,
That'll take us to 5
We'll see
hours.
how long the lightning round goes.
Okay.
Like, I don't plan on this taking too long.
Okay. Well, no, I'm just saying that, like, a 3-hour...
Good timestamps.
Yeah, I'm just saying that, like, a 3-hour-long podcast it may be prohibitive. So, I'm not saying we have to edit anything. I'm just saying that if you can split the file into 3...
If we're going to find natural places to do it, because we've been kind of going strong for the entire time.
Well, at the different rounds, right? Like round 1, round 2, now the lightning round. Or even just round 1 and round 2.
Oh, we'll
That'd
figure
be
it out
natural.
later.
Okay, that's fine. It's like not a big deal. It's
Yeah.
just...
Like, we could have saved some time by not talking about any of those right now.
We could have. We could always edit this out.
I'm not going to. I think it's
Exactly.
We need to talk about this for about 3 more hours.
fun. I think it's fun that we have these natural progressions.
These technical problems, natural progressions, these stream of consciousness conversations that are
At least
very
I'm not
meta.
drunk listening to Sonic the Hedgehog issues again.
That's true. That's true.
That was
For a
terrible. That
lot
was a
of-
terrible day. So, any other crossovers you want to touch on real quick before we finish up?
Infinity Gauntlet. I absolutely believe that is one of the best Marvel crossover events just ever. And of course it's been not really, but pseudo-adapted by the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but it's a fantastic story. I don't think you need to read the tie-ins. I think you could just read the 6 issues of Infinity Gauntlet, and that's perfect.
It was a
But there's a lot of great lead-in
Yeah.
issues in the Silver Surfer title, of which, of course, I made into a custom bind. But to me, that's one of the greatest Marvel events. Maybe the greatest Marvel event. It's like rivals Secret Wars to me.
Eventually we're going to have to talk about your custom binds.
Yeah.
Um,
Maybe, Jeff is choosing the next topic, so if he wants to talk about that next time.
Mhm.
Yeah, we've been shifting topics, everybody. We thought it would help streamline things, and it has.
it has to a degree.
Yeah.
Any honorable mentions you want to throw out there?
The Sonic the Hedgehog Mega Man crossovers that Archie did a few times. The first one was just the main Archie and Sonic, the main Sonic and Mega Man casts. But the second one had a bunch of other Capcom and Sega characters show up too. I haven't finished reading that one yet because I haven't been able to find all the trades. I think that'll about do it for me. Like, there's been so many crossovers that are just of varying quality.
There are.
Yeah.
The DC crossover Legends I thought was actually pretty good for John Byrne, and I wish DC would actually do like an omnibus of it so that people could read all of it together.
One thing I do miss...
That was the first crossover event after Crisis on Infinite Earths was Legends.
Yeah, okay. One thing I do miss is when that Marvel and DC would have their events confined to the annuals.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they would have like a mini-series, and then the annuals would be the tie-in issues. So the month-to-month issues wouldn't be affected by what's going on.
Interesting. Or could you give me an example of that?
There was Atlantis Attacks for Marvel, Bloodlines for DC, Millennium 2001.
Bloodlines and Millennium, okay, yeah.
There were other ones too. I just can't remember them off the top of my
I
head.
mean, that was a very brief practice, though, at least for DC. That was only like
Yeah, it only
Bloodlines
happened
and Millennium for DC.
Yeah, it only happened a few years.
Well, that's not true of Millennium, though. Millennium crossed over into the main Batman titles. That's not right. It did. Millennium crossed over in the main Batman titles.
Okay.
You're not right on that. It was literally only Bloodlines that did that.
Well, I don't know what you guys are talking about, so.
Yeah, you're wrong about Millennium. Millennium was crossed over in the main titles.
Like which ones?
Like, there was the Batman issues right before Batman 400. Yeah, it was like it was in Batman and Detective Comics. I remember Hawkman was on the cover of one of the Batman issues at the time.
Millennium 2001, one with
no, I'm thinking of not Millennium. I'm thinking of something else, another event. Never mind.
I don't know what either one of you were talking
Well, any other crossovers you want to touch on, Randy?
about.
Or crossover practices, I guess.
Let's see.
No, I'm right about Millennium.
I had one, and then this whole annual thing came up, and kind of lost it. Axis, which was a semi-recent Marvel event, or Reverse Axis, or
Millennium, Batman 415, Detective Comics 582.
There's one issue each?
But every other title it wasn't just annuals for almost all of Millennium's not annuals.
Well, still, that's one issue. Like, one issue out of the run. I'm talking about minimal impact.
There's no annuals in Millennium.
Are we talking about... Okay, Randy, you forgot wait, Axis. That was one where the X-Men and the Avengers fought. Or, like, they turned...
yeah, it was like this weird thing where they switched.
This isn't
like certain characters became good who were originally evil, and certain heroes, certain villains became heroes, certain heroes became villains.
So, different thing.
We'll go to it.
So, I also really like the symbiote vending machine.
Secret War?
Yeah, I think that was inventive. I'm just making shit up now. We covered most of all of the big ones, I think.
I think you're thinking of Armageddon 2001.
Yeah, that's it.
You're getting it wrong. That's why you're confusing me.
Alright.
So,
God damn it, Mike.
I'm sorry, I don't have a photographic memory or whatever.
Encyclopedic knowledge of
Wikipedic
DC
knowledge.
crossovers. I don't even have a...
I mean, you're right about Armageddon 2000. It was all annuals, but that's the only event that was like that at that time.
The Bloodlines.
And maybe Bloodlines, and that's it.
I'm sure there were more.
No, there wasn't.
I'm sure there were.
Oh, I actually like the Batman 60s manga with Lord Deathman.
It isn't really a crossover.
No, it's not.
This is the
Just
comic.
throwing it out there. There was something Grant Morrison did.
By Jiro Kawada?
Sure.
Okay.
Is that who it was?
Yeah, who wrote the Batman manga.
Well, it's based on a issue from the actual comic, too.
Yeah. But I like how Grant Morrison incorporated Lord Deathman into... with Batman Incorporated.
Yeah.
Oh, Multiversity!
Yeah?
I like Multiversity quite a bit.
Yeah.
Grant Morrison's Multiversity, which... how many issues was that? Was that about 12?
No.
8?
It was
6?
It was more like around 8 or 6, I think.
Okay.
I can't remember exactly.
And they were all one-shots, and they all dealt with a separate universe in the DC multiverse.
Yeah.
A separate numbered universe.
Yeah.
And one of the best issues of that, and they were all really awesome, was...
it is the best issue, of course, and I know what you're going to say. It's Pax Americana, which
Yep.
is Grant Morrison's version of Watchmen, basically.
Right. Grant Morrison's version of Watchmen using Charlton characters.
Yeah.
So, The Question, Peacemaker...
So what Alan Moore originally wanted to do.
Yeah. Except Grant Morrison, arguably... It's an interesting
It's
backstory.
Grant Morrison's subversion of Watchmen, basically.
It's an interesting backstory to this too. A lot of people believe, and there may be actual evidence for this, Grant Morrison and Alan Moore are both into magic.
Yeah.
Like legitimate
Ceremonial
Aleister
magic.
Crowley
Yeah.
type of magic. And Alan Moore is from the very ritualized old school magic school of magical theory and thought,
Yeah.
whereas Grant Morrison is very much into chaos magic. You know, sort of whatever works. That's what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
There's no hard and fast ritual involved. It's
Yeah.
just do whatever you want.
Yeah.
And it's believed that for a long time, because their views conflicted on comics as well,
Yeah.
what comics should be.
Yeah.
Grant Morrison felt that comics should elevate humanity.
Yeah, I think they should be positive and inspirational.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Whereas Alan Moore was sort of the grim dark originator. He thinks the comics should be deconstructed, more or less.
Yeah.
And you can argue against that
Right.
with comics like Supreme?
Yeah.
But it was thought for a while that they were sort of locked in this wizard's battle through their comics. And it's now believed that Grant Morrison with Pax Americana won their wizard's duel because it contains basically the entire story of Watchmen in one issue that can be read backwards and forwards. It doesn't matter where. You could start it in the middle and read one way or the other, and the story still makes sense. And instead of having, 9 panels on a page, he's condensed it down to 8.
Yeah, or something like that, yep.
And 8 turned on its side is the symbol for infinity.
Yeah.
So he basically, Grant Morrison out Alan Moore.
Yeah.
And it is one of the best comics in that event.
Yeah.
And
It is the best comic in that event. It's one of the best comics of
probably the last 20 years.
Yeah.
And it's, Multiversity, I don't hear people talking about it that much. It sort of went under the radar.
Yeah.
It was in production for a long time.
I think people are kind of burned out on event comics at this point.
But it was a weird event comic because it didn't really draw in any outside...
Yeah, it was a very
DC
isolated, insular kind of event.
Yeah, it was still very much a DC event.
Yeah.
But it wasn't as ballyhooed as, a Final Crisis or New 52 would be.
Yeah.
It was just sort of Grant Morrison's, I would argue, his almost indie comics take on DC's multiverse.
Yeah.
And so that's my honorable mention.
Yeah.
I did think of another crossover that only took place in annuals. Marvel's Evolutionary War. They even brought in Elf.
Elf?
Yeah.
Like from the TV show? Elf?
Yeah.
Like from Malmac?
Yeah.
Gordon Shumway?
Yeah.
Hey, Willie! Elf?
Yeah. Because Elf had a Marvel comic for 70 issues.
What?
Yeah. And the third annual was an Evolutionary War crossover.
Randy, he didn't just come back in Pog form.
Well, this was back when it was still popular.
So, 2019?
I mean, yeah, he's still very popular. I mean,
He's very popular in Germany.
when his show was on. His show was on new.
His show is still on in Germany, I'm sure. Here's a weird fact. Germans love Elf.
They love David Hasselhoff and Elf.
David Hasselhoff? Elf? Whoa, what's that?
No, I just said and David Hasselhoff too.
Yeah, and oddly enough, they also love Bill Cosby.
That's awesome.
Even now.
Uh-oh.
Even now they love Bill Cosby.
I would expect more from the Germans.
They love the Cosby Show.
Wow.
So yeah, David Hasselhoff, Elf, and the Cosby Show. So any German listeners out there, Guten Tag.
How about you, Trevor? Any honorable mentions?
Not that I can think of. I just took, I guess, the rules you laid down, and that's what I tried to guide myself with.
You had no other
So-
contenders? There has to be There has to be
Wait,
some other
I
events.
mean, there is, but I just can't think of them right now.
Okay. Yeah, that happens. Like if like
To
there
me, it was hard to narrow it down because there's so many.
Yeah.
There's actually been a surprising amount of good comic events since at least the 80s.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we can finish up there.
Yeah, that sounds good.
All right. I'm Mikenificent Podgor.
I'm Randall Malus, and apparently I did know more about what we were talking about than I was led to believe.
I'm Jeffrey Carnage.
And I'm Trevor Thomson.
And you can visit us at the Fictosphere any day of the week, because it's a website, it doesn't close.
www.fictosphere.com, which I didn't actually have to say because you probably had to go to the Fictosphere in the first place to click on this 3-hour-long podcast.
Yeah, I don't know where we can post it other than the Fictosphere. We have to find a new network. Because iTunes shut down.
A new network that posts 3-hour-long podcasts.
Any network would do it. We'll just call it double-sized.
Oh, actually, that's a really
special... Yeah, like
special double-sized issue.
Yeah. It's our own crossover event.
Which is crazy because this is actually a normal-sized issue for us.
Well,
But we're billing it as double-sized.
Well, the last one was a good length.
The last one was like an hour and a half.
Yeah, that's how long we want them to be. This is our special double-sized issue.
I like it.
Your special event issue. All right, well, have a good night or good day, everyone. Farewell.